All right, hello, we are live. Let me get some live announcements real quick, then we'll get right on into it. All right. Announcements posted. So, today we have yet another newbie tournament. Starting here with our upper bracket semifinal between Crave and Trogdor. Looks like we got Skaven Wood Elves on Arnheim. All right, let's get right into it. I need to pop out chat real quick so I can see all you lovely people. Alright, so we got Crave on the Skaven versus Trogdor on Wood Elves. Historically, this has been a pretty good matchup for Wood Elves, even all the way back in Warhammer 2, because they had options. They could rush the Skaven with Dryads and Drycha and just, what are they, Eternal Guard. Or they could do, the more traditional Waywatcher kite with Sisters, Dragons, and just kind of pick the Skaven apart and snipe the weapon teams. And with Skaven's lack of mobility, they had a pretty hard time catching that. So traditionally has been pretty Wood Elf favored, but when they actually have to go on to the objectives and try actually, sustain in a fight, globes can be really, really punishing if they don't have a good way of dealing with them, as can things like Jezzails, which Crave has opted for here. So, let's take a look. So we got, desummonable Skaven Slave Lord, just to proc the power grab ability on the Chieftain. So +8 leadership map wide once this guy gets desummoned. You'll see, +8 leadership to all the Skaven. So, for the Skaven, we got some Gutter Runners. We've got... Hold on, why? I've been playing Company of Heroes. I forgot the key bindings for this game. I've been pressing the wrong buttons. Okay, sorry. So, we got Gutter Runners, Gutter Runner Poison, a little bit of skirmishing up front. Front line of Skaven Slaves, backed up by some Jezzails, some Globes, some Clan Rats. Get the Chieftain, Natty Boobos, Globes. Clan Rat Shields, Skaven Slaves. Okay, so a lot of Rats, some Jezzails, some Globes, and a couple of Skirmishers. Not a whole lot going on here. Then for the Wood Elves, we've got a Wave Stalker. Do you have any of his abilities? Okay, Talent Arrows of Kurnos. Curious if he's going to try to snipe out that Chieftain, try to get rid of that Power Grab ability. Be potentially worth his while, as well as the buffs for that whip missile damage for these Deepwood Scouts, which will likely be trying to snipe the Globes. Sniping the Jezzails is a little bit harder because they do have silver shields. So I suspect these are going to be targeting the Globes. And we've got Durthu with the Manticore summon. We got Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. Interesting. So I believe Globes and Jezzails both do deal physical damage. This will actually negate the damage from them quite a bit. And we've got Sword of Daith for that AoE damage. Lamentation of Despair from their magic missile. We've got an Arrow of Kurnos actually being fired off. Curious what the target will be. And then we'll go back to the Wood Elf build. Target is Jezzails. Okay, not super effective, but does get a couple of models down, looks like. I killed about 3 models, not bad. And we've got some War Dancers and some Treekin to back this up. Okay. So not a whole lot of arrows, just a bunch of grindy boys here. So, this... Hey. This melee grind cohort will be able to beat most things Skaven can throw into melee, but they really need these Deepwood Scouts to actually snipe out the missile pieces so that they can just grind away in melee. Because if they're allowed to just sit and shoot, the Giselles will tear apart the Treekins, the Globes will kill the War Dancers, and Dirthy will crumble under Withering Fire pretty quickly as well. So the Wood Elves really need to start sniping out those missile pieces as soon as possible. Hey, welcome to the stream, folks. Native people are going to push up and just start shooting into whatever they can. Deepwood Scouts. If you can get the Deepwood Scouts off the field, there's not a whole lot else to punish the missiles. And jeez, look at that damage coming. The Skirmishers and the Giselles. Yeah, that hurts a lot. Losing your Deepwood Scouts like that. Without them, you really have no answer to all of the shooting from the Skaven. Oh, looks like we got something up on the high ground as well. What do we have? Oh, that's just summoned in Cav. And a cheeky War Dancer there to cap the point pretty quickly. Hey, Rusty. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, these Giselles firing are just doing loads and loads of damage. When Deepwood Scout already routed, they're on half HP. Which means these Treekin are just going to be left here to weather the storm, which they are exceptionally tanky. Good missile resist, good fizz resist. But if these Giselles are allowed to fire uncontested, yeah, they're going to tear apart these Wood Elves. Be very, very careful. Look at the fire coming in. These aren't super expensive, so not that huge a loss to the Wood Elves, but still, that's a lot of value down the drain. A lot of value for those Giselles really, really quick. Now, of course, someone coming in. I'd love to see it go after some of these Giselles, try and shut them down, but it's a lot to ask. And these are getting melted by the Globes and the Skirmishers. The Gutter Runners are doing loads and loads of work. And just look at the punishment coming on this Wood Elf offensive. It's giving Arnie up over 1,000 value in only just a couple of minutes, and this is the real danger of the Skaven right here. Oh, nice Glade Rider snaking through the lines. They can get back here on the Giselles. Giselles are exceptionally squishy in melee, so they can get back there. Actually shut them down, that'd be huge, but they do get tied up on the Clan Rats, which means that there's not a whole lot. The Anticore's can rampage, the Chieftain, the Rat Ogre should be able to kill that off pretty quickly. We have a deep flank of Glade Rider spears, but Aketh Claw's coming in. This should be caught if his opponent sees it. I don't know if Crave has spotted it yet. He has Clan Rats in position to protect, but I don't know if he's going to get it there. Giselle starts crossfiring the Manticore. The Manticore shattering before it even gets desummoned. And that's pretty rough. There are more and more War Dancers coming in, and War Dancers should carve these Clan Rats pretty quickly, but I don't know if they can do it fast enough. They're taking so many shots so early. They're just not really given the time to actually trade effectively here. Yeah. Now with Aketh Claw coming in, I'm curious what kind of spell does he have? Cleansing Ruin and Howling Warp. Okay, pretty standard. Howling Warp Guild in case of like Sisters of Twilight or Hawk Riders or any shenanigans like that. And then Cleansing Ruin just for general blob damage. Deepwood Scouts are back online, which is a bit of a boon, but I feel like it's a little too late. They do get that Glade Rider flank in the back that does shut down one of the Giselles, which is very, very good. The Glade Riders are going to die for it, caught between the Wolf Rats and the Clan Rats. Now the Giselles and the Flints are all being focused fired onto Dirthu, and Dirthu needs to back off. He could die here very, very easily if he just lets those Giselles sit shoot at him. Not bad. I don't remember what that ability's called. What was that ability called? But those are Skaven Slaves, not a whole lot. Lamentation of Despair. Despairs? Anyway, Flunsy Ruin and the Giselles are doing very, very good work to Dirthu. There's no healing available for him, so he needs to back off here. He can be in a lot of trouble. You do have the Wildlings and Kronos coming in. They do shatter that Clan Rat Skaven Slave on the impact, but it's just Skaven Slave. And the Globe Volley was definitely worth a lot more than that charge. Getting on the Gutter Runners. He is on the missile pieces now, which is good, but those are anti-large Cavs. They kind of struggled. Well, their melee attack is just fine. They should be able to take apart these infantry, but just a lot of ground the Wood Elves have to make up, and there's not a lot of troops left on the field to actually do it this quickly. It's looking pretty rough for the Woody boys. We got coming in Dryads. I like the Dryad summons. They're class against their Skaven. They'll tear through Skaven Slaves very, very quickly and get on those Globes and those Giselles, but they're just so deep here. They're just firing completely uncontested, taking down Dirthu so quickly. At this point, one more Flensing Ruin is going to tear him apart. Treekin are tattered. Now, the Skaven front line is buckling, which is the one good thing for the Wood Elves, but these Giselles are just so safe. They've already spent most of their ammo. I'm sure these guys have already paid for themselves quite easily. Yeah. Just doing so much work on the Treekin, Dirthu, the infantry, the archers. Not really any bad targets for these guys. And yeah, the Wildlings are just getting dragged down by the Skirmishers and the infantry. Even the Globes are doing alright. These guys aren't AP, and the Globe's armor, they're actually surprisingly durable in melee against the Wolf Rats coming in. That's the lightly armored Wildlings and Kronos. They get the charge. Okay, they mutual charge. The Wolf Rats should get shredded, but they did get that charge. That would have been really bad. Giselles are finally spotted out, but Flimsy Rune coming in. That might be it for Dirthu. It's 2,500 HP. I'm not quite sure how much damage that spell does, but it's definitely a lot. Keep an eye on him to see if he actually goes down. Looks like it was undercast, so he might survive that one. But he's still in a bad way. He's still in a bad way. Now, the one upside is that the Skaven don't currently hold any objectives. They just barely flip the center. They are actually struggling on these objectives, which is pretty typical of this game. Their infantry line is very flimsy, and now we do have some more dancers in the back here onto these Giselles, as well as some Glade Riders. So the Skaven weapon teams are getting shot down and running out of ammo. So now the melee grind should favor the Wood Elves, but there's just not a lot of units on here to melee grind with. Berthu's down to less than 1,000 HP. Ikit's trying to finish him off, but Ikit is not a great combatant, especially against large characters. He's kind of going to rely on his shooting, which I don't think he shoots in melee, but Berthu does route off. And if he's right next to... Actually, no, he's not next to the edge of the map. This is a cliff. He has to route to the far, far side, so he should be fine. If he can get away, he'll be just fine. Yeah. Lots of Skaven still alive in the field. Wolf Rats coming in, just more and more bodies. Storm Vermin even pouring under the field. Storm Vermin actually an interesting pick. They should just demolish the Dryads. I kind of like that, but these Deepwood Scouts should be able to tear them apart pretty quickly. Sorry about that. This is looking kind of rough for the Wood Elves. They're down about 3k value, but they have actually made up quite a bit of ground. Clan Rats are going to capture the high ground. They are not expendable, so they will cap that pretty quickly. But also need to respond to that. And the Skaven are still not in a position where they have to 3-cap, which is really unfortunate for the Wood Elves. If they could force their opponents to 3-cap, or if they could just keep them off these points for a while longer and get to about the 1,000-point benchmark, they could be in a reasonable spot to Helm's Deep on a side objective. But as this has been really rough, Berthu does get the... Oh, that's so clutch. Gets the Manticore summon off and desummons. There's no Lord Lost penalty. And now there's going to be a bit of a snipe here on this Chieftain. If this Chieftain goes down, that's actually a pretty big hit to the Skaven leadership and might provide the Wood Elves a way back into this fight. Can they take him down? The Manticores are really good at sniping characters, but the Chieftain is anti-large, so it should be okay. I don't know, Chieftains are pretty squishy. The Dryads as well might do some pretty good work against him. Over here, Rat Ogres. The Rat Ogres really need to come over here to peel the Chieftain. Waystalker's getting on the objective, but honestly, without the ammo, this character's not super threatening. So nice, Fluns and Ruin trying to bail out that Chieftain. Ikit's coming with the Terror. Dryads are ITPs, that won't be a huge issue, but the Manticore does need healing, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, Dryads, okay, the Chieftain should be safe from that. And yeah, I'm struggling to see a way for the Wood Elves back into the game at this point. Skaven have 2 caps. They don't even need to go for the 3rd, honestly. They could just kind of ball up on this ramp and just kind of make a little Helm's Deep right here and just chill. Have their weapon teams nice and safe in the middle. And with so few forces left in the field, it'll be really hard for the Wood Elves to assault. Chieftain is still wavering. He is terror routing, actually, so that's good if they can chase him off. But again, they have to chase him so far to get him off the map that I don't think it's going to happen. Mod Hunter's infantry choice. Then Yet versus Rat Ogres. Yeah. I mean... I don't actually know what they do, I'll be perfectly honest. I know they're anti-large. I can't remember if they're Vanguard. Vanguard is a semi-compelling reason, but... I don't know. You do need some kind of cav to disrupt, but yeah, you'd probably go for the cheaper option usually versus Skaven. Yeah, Manticore's gone. Waystalker's gonna be next. Looks like the Skaven are just swarming over this battlefield. We have some more War Dancers coming in, just trying to grind against the Skaven Clan Rats, Skaven Slaves, Storm Vermin. Shrieking aren't AP. Yeah, there's nothing here to kill these Storm Vermin. This is kind of a neat pick. You don't see Storm Vermin a whole lot. They're generally considered to be pretty overpriced, but against Wood Elves who don't have a whole lot of AP melee, I kind of like it. See how they actually perform, because they're just not taking any damage from these Shrieking. They're just not even being scratched by the Shrieking. I mean, it's super surprising. Shrieking aren't a very high damage output unit, but still. Giselles are resummoned, and immediately the Glade Rise are going on them. The Wolf Rats should be able to peel off the Glade Rise, but maybe not before they get the Giselles. It'd be a pretty big value swing, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. What do we have coming in? Is that the Winterheart Guard? Winterheart Guards, sorry. Unbreakable Spears coming in, but not a lot here to fight with Spears. I mean, they'll do alright. They have reasonable melee stats, but there's a lot of Storm Vermin here, a lot of Clan Rats, Globes. The Globes are just going to destroy them. I was hoping to finally play Skaven in these tournaments. Hey, got it. Yeah, Glade Rise do get ratted off before the Giselles are killed. The Giselles can come and clear off these Shrieking for them. And the Skaven 3-cap is coming in, and this is looking pretty much over for the Wood Elves at this point. They just don't have the units on the field to actually get back into this game, I fear. Giselles are now trying to shut down those Glade Riders before they can get onto them. The Rat Ogres are coming in, as well as the Wolf Rats at the ready to peel them off, so... Even if they get those Giselles, I don't think they can really get rid of these Storm Vermin unless the Globes just do it for them, which would be funny and very lore-friendly, but... Yeah. More Giselles coming in. Now there's just not a lot of troops on the field to actually pressure these weapon teams, which means they'll be able to free fire. which means that Wood Elves have a very, very low chance of actually grinding out of this objective.
I knew it.
And Arbiter player agrees and taps out. So, pretty decisive victory from Crave Skaven. This is a best of 3, so he does get the early lead. Let's see if Trogdor can bring it back in the second game. Yeah, good value on the Giselles. They were allowed to just get so many shots off. And that's the deadly thing, especially with these guys, the ROR that's stocked, is they get so many shots off before you even realize they're there. And even once you realize they're still so hard to deal with. The globe value, jeez, globes are... They got nerfed. They're still very high damage output, though. Don't know why I keep losing frames so much on this screen in particular. So apologies if the stream's looking a little framey. It's not you, it's me. But yeah, Dirthu just got shut down. The Waystalker. The Waystalker did alright. Not actually sure how much that guy cost, so. Yeah, War Dancers just got destroyed by globes, unfortunately. So they never actually got to grind out against the Skaven like they wanted to. So. That is Crave. Crave, yes. That's the wrong button. Hold on. Crave taking the early lead. Let me get the next replay. Hey, what are you guys up to in chat? Go Skaven. Go versus Skaven weapon teams. Unless you manage to sneak them in the back, you can never win. Yeah, weapon teams are pretty brutal if you can't shut them down. You really gotta get on top of them. Even really struggle to capture points. Yeah, they gotta kind of blast you off the points. They really struggle in melee in general, so you really just gotta shoot things. Let's see Crave doing well. Yeah, nice to see. So, game 2, we got Khorne Empire. So, this time we got Crave's Khorne versus Trogdor's Empire on Broken Leg Gully. Alright. Some nice open sight lines for the Empire to make use of, so you might be able to get some good value out of those cannons, out of the handguns. But it is a little bit of a segmented map. It's kind of, you know, split into 3 pieces, so it is very, very easy to zone out things like cavalry or grenade launchers with just well-placed infantry or minotaurs or spawn. So, have to see how Crave actually approaches these weapon teams. Well, not weapon teams, but missile units. Alright, so for the forces of the Blood God, led by Crave, we've got looks like front line of dual weapon marauders, some basic marauders, more dual weapons, a Fury, 2 Chaos Spawn, 2 Chaos Warriors, and Valkia the Bloody. Valkia has Demon Shield and Spear. Very, very standard Valkia kit. Kinda, I don't know, you don't see Spawn a whole lot these days. Minotaurs are just so good, it's very rare to see Spawn, so I kinda, They should trade well into all the lightly armored Empire infantry, but they are very, very lightly armored, although looks like there is a lot of AP shooting anyway, so not sure. Kind of curious how these guys will actually do, so let's wait and see. For the forces of the Empire, led by Trogdor, we have a Celestial Wizard of Heavens. So we have Curse the Midnight Wind, Harmonic Convergence, and Comet. Okay, I really like Comet here. It's just a really nice chaff clearing spell. Even against heavy armored infantry, it'll just delete Chaos Warriors, which is very, very nice. It's something Empire can struggle to do. Frontline of Flagellants, the Tatter Souls, backed up by a Warrior Priest with Shield of Faith, Soulfire, and Hammer of Sigmar. Those buffs, the Flagellants actually tear apart those dual Marauders very, very quickly, so I kind of like that. And back that up, we have Silver Bullets as well as a base can gunner, some Halberdiers, Sigmar's Sons, Swordsmen, and the Hammer of the Witches. Hammer of the Witches should do very, very well against this Chaos Spawn. Or, you know, Minotaurs or Chaos Knights, anything like that, so definitely some good targets. So what I want to see from our Empire player here is just walk up right to the edge of the point and keep your guns back here in the valley. If you walk too far forward, you'll expose your flanks to the ramps. If you stay back, then there's really no way for them to flank you except from behind or from the air. So I really like if you just like post up right on the edge of the objective and force your opponent to come into this narrow little valley and just shoot them to pieces. Hammer the Witch is firing into Valkia. Valkia is kind of unbothered by this kind of thing. She's just such a small target. She's really, really hard to hit with things like cannons or even basic missiles. You really struggle to hit her, so a lot of really good Khorne players like just take Valkia and waste their opponent's ammo, so it's kind of just rather see it push up a little bit to try to shoot this gas spawn, I think. Swordsman, looks like just Swordsman holding the side objective. A little risky, a Fleshhound could come and just tank that if you're not careful, so. Ooh, Empire Knights coming in. Should be able to do some nice lance damage if they just chart the front of their opponent's formation. Yeah, this is what I like. Just stay right here, and then put one toe on the objective. Yep, and now just shoot them and force them to come into you. Don't push too much further forward. Yep, cannons are firing the chaos spawn. Perfect, doing some good damage. I haven't killed a model yet, but still doing really good damage, slowing down the chaos spawn. Chunking that pretty heavily. The tower spools are charging in. A little bit of an exposed flank here. We got harmonic convergence, so they're buffed up 74-55. They will tear these guys apart. The problem is they're so squishy themselves with a nice spear slapping coming in as well. Oh, that almost one-shot them. Flagstones do rely on physical resistance for a lot of their tankiness, so it's pretty brutal. Now Valkia is chasing around the sorcerer. A little bit sketchy, not a whole lot to keep him alive. Halberds are pushing in, but these Flagstones are just getting torn apart by the Khorne in the front line. They're unbreakable, so they're holding on for quite a while, but you really need these guns to start doing their part. Got a nice comet coming in. Give it to me, baby. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Chunking them out. There's some... Oh, we have the... Oh, no, those are some Marauders. I thought that was the Our Berserker. Coming in, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You push a little too far forward, and there's this nice flanker down the hill right here, which his opponent finds, just snakes right into, and then forms into the traditional Chaos Conga line to try and chase down the silver bullets. Valkia is a little trapped up in these Empire Knights. Okay, they won't kill her, but they'll hold her in place for a good long time. But now the handguns are compromised by the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. Spawn are getting dragged down by the Halberdiers and the Flagellants, but the Imperial front line does seem pretty tattered, and the Khorne Warriors are in the back line, which is a pretty rough spot to be in. Silver Bolts are getting some nice flank shots. Perfect. The Empire Knights peel off the handguns, getting some really nice volleys in the back of these Marauders, but they're not a super expensive unit. Khorne is trading pretty heavily down in value. Empire has a pretty hefty lead, but with the handguns being disrupted with so much ammo left, I worry that it's just they're not going to actually realize the value they have on the field. Empire's a pretty solid hold on the top objective. Nobody's really going for a back cap. It's really just about this battle down here in the valley. And now the Fleshhounds cometh, and with gaps in the line like this, I really worry that there's going to be able to stream in. Oh, I didn't even notice. The Chaos Knights of Khorne Lances get in the back and try to shut down that cannon. But the Knights of the Blazing Sun here to answer in return. And Knights of the Blazing Sun... Oh, no, they don't have fire resistance. I thought they had fire resistance. Valkia, now it's her turn to try and shut down the Hammer of the Witches. This is kind of a risky spot for her to be in. Greatswords are anti-infantry, and they'll do really good work against Valkia if she's not careful. That said, she does have another spear slopping in her pocket. Oh, nice charge in the Chaos Knights and Lances, trying on the Silver Bullets. Fleshhounds for the pincer. Yeah, those Silver Bullets are not going to last very long. And the center point still is not flipped. It's been contested this entire time. We got Hammer of Sigvard, Shield of Faith here. Oh, he's doing the... Oh, wait, no, they're just not in melee. They're all fighting the Warrior Priest. These handguns are completely free. Beautiful Comet just comes in and destroys those Chaos Warriors, keeping the handguns alive. And Trogdor is really scrapping, just trying to keep these guns online as long as he can. And if you can get these guys to turn and tear apart those Chaos Knights as well as those Fleshhounds, that'll be some really, really nice value. And the Khorne front line is just gone. Just getting destroyed by all the comets and the guns firing off. There's some grenade launchers coming in, and perfect. Get those grenade launchers to the Chaos Knights. They're not AP, but they do so much damage it doesn't matter. They'll tear apart these Chaos Knights. Look at the damage. Yeah, that's not even an AP unit. It just does so much work against them still. And the handguns are turning and firing as well, and those Chaos Knights are in a lot of trouble. This is beautiful Empire play. Just keeping all your guns online as long as possible. Really just scrapping for that value, while also keeping the objective points in balance. Not really falling far behind. Grenade launchers is free to clean up now. This is looking pretty good for Trogdor. Yeah, Chaos Knights are routing off. What do we have coming in? We got some more Chaos Warriors. Chaos Warriors are a little bit of a nuisance. The shields make it really hard for the handguns to kill them, but the grenades will still do very, very good work against them. Valky's still in the Hammer of the Witches, but she's surrounded by great swords. And like I said, they're anti-infantry. They don't have the highest melee attack compared to her melee defense, but they'll tear her down eventually if she stays here. Hammer of the Witches just keep firing in. More Flagellants coming in. Are these reinforcing? Okay, those are the same Flashhounds coming back. Fleshhounds trying to get on the grenade launchers. Flashhounds should do fine into Fleshhounds. They're going to take a lot of damage, but they'll kill them off pretty quickly. Spear Slapnir came in, got all these great swords. Hammer Witches is going down. Valky's taking a good deal of damage in return for it. Looks like, who is that? Empire does capture the center objective. There's not a lot of Core Knight forces left here on this center objective. A couple of Fleshhounds on the periphery. There's a few Warriors and Marauders staying off the side. But there's just not a lot here, and without a large concentrated force, it's really hard to deal with the Empire front line while also being supported by the grenade launchers and the handguns. Because just beating the front line takes your infantry's attention, so there's not a lot to go for the missiles. Chaos Warriors taking some barrage from the grenade launchers. As I said, not AP, so they're not taking a whole lot of damage. That's still pretty good work for not being AP. Now the Warriors of Khorne charging to destroy the men of the Empire. Grenades are popping all over the place. Oh, Chaos Warriors of Khorne are so cool. The models look so good, dude. Look at that. Anyway, grenade launchers are just firing in, getting some really nice volleys, and just grinding down those Chaos Warriors of Khorne. With the breakthrough, I'd love to see these handguns turn onto Valky actually to get some good damage. Demon Shield is popped to try and keep her up, but Silver Bullets are back online, which is a big problem for Khorne. But the Empire really needs some more frontline units. The grenades are starting to get compromised. There's just massive holes that these Fleshhounds can slip through and get them these handguns. They need more infantry coming in, and they have it. The great swords, the spears coming in. Perfect. The Warrior Priest as well. We need to bolster the Flagellants and actually help them tear apart those Khorne Warriors. Do they buffs pop? Not at the moment, but Valky is taking a load of damage from these handguns, and she needs to get out of there. There are some Fleshhounds here, not a whole lot to contest them. There's a bit of a back attempt coming in from these Knights of the Blazing Sun, but they're just going to get pinched by these Fleshhounds and dealt with very quickly. What do we have popped here? Shield of Faith and Hammer of Sigmar, but the Flagellants aren't quite in the buff radius. That's really unfortunate. If they were in there, they'd be doing a lot better than the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. Grenades are back online, back firing into these Marauders of Khorne. Give me that volley. Ah, yes. This unit is an absolute terror. Outworking launchers. They haven't even spent most of their ammo, and they've already paid for themselves. They do so much damage to infantry. But now we have the Fleshhounds coming back down on the field, and there's not a whole lot here to protect these handguns. They're trying to stop them to track the bullets, but those are Fleshhounds of Khorne. They will not be stopped. They have one goal in mind, and it is glorious slaughter. Great swords and spears pouring to try and fend them off, but those silver bullets are it's a little too late for them. Crossfire from handguns should do good work. Valky is chasing off these guys. Got a nice Soulfire coming in, trying to deal with those Chaos Warriors. But Chaos Warriors are just so hard to deal with. They're so tanky. They've got, what, 110 armor, silver shields, 9,000 hit points. It's really rough out here trying to get rid of those guys. Valky's trying to chase off some Empire Grenade launchers. We got a nice Sword of Khorne coming in. Does dodge pretty well, Trogdor, but it looks some nice damage on the Great Swords, but yeah, these Fleshhounds are just a menace. There's not a whole lot the Empire has that can actually answer them 1v1, so you gotta just kind of chase them down with infantry, which is pretty slow. They're going to get a nice catch from these Empire Knights, as well as the Free Company Militia trying to just punish them a little bit. But honestly, if you're the Empire, I feel like you just want to consolidate your force in the center. You really don't need to push objective number 1. Just build a nice Helm's Deep right here, just build a nice castle, get your front line back in position, and then get a few missiles back. It's so hard for the Khorne to assault this position here in the valley, because there's just no real flank routes if you play back enough. Valky is running against the Tattersouls, as well as some Great Swords, and again, those units do very well in infantry-sized models, which Valky is. She just popped the Demon Shield and tries to run away. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't have any use of the Demon Sword, or the what is it, Spear Slapnir left to try and farm these units. But most of the Empire's missile support has been worn out. The handguns are gone, the grenades are gone, and with that, the Khorne Warriors and the Khorne Marauders should be able to trade pretty well into these Empire State troops, and the Flagellants and all that. The high ground. Ah, this is what the grenade launchers ran off to get mauled by Fleshhounds. Then those Reiks are coming as well. Nice Vanguard summon to try and catch these Fleshhounds. Should be able to finish off these two. And then hopefully rotate back towards the center and start lancing down some of these infantry units. So we have more. Oh, finally, Minotaurs, great opens coming in. Not a whole lot of large targets for them, but they do just fine against infantry, so it would be a nice augment to the Khorne front line. I love clipping through hillsides. Celestial Wizard needs to be a little careful because Valky is hungry. But again, those Great Swords can just turn on her and do a lot of good damage, and the Celestial Wizard can just run away. We got Free Company Militia on high ground. Some nice flank shots in these Marauders of Khorne as well. This is pretty good for the Empire so far. But now the Minotaurs of Khorne are here. And what's this debuff? Is this Curse the Midnight Wind? Just to blunt the charge. I love that. It just completely turns off the Minotaur's melee attack to blunt the charge, as well as reduce their armor, so they actually take some damage in return. But I don't know, they have so much melee attack, I don't know that's going to stop it entirely, and their charge bonus is massive. And yeah, there's not a whole lot of AP missiles left here to kill them. The free company can do some good work against them, but I feel like you need a handgun or a cannon back to actually kill these guys off. Nothing here is really going to trade that well into them in melee. The Warrior Priest is alone and is getting focused down by these Chaos Warriors. And the Capite is starting to waver in favor of the forces of the Blood God. We have more swordsmen. I really wish you just summoned some more supporting elements for the center point. You really don't need to push objective number 1. Just try and reinforce the center fight. Get something that can kill those Minos. Some handguns, maybe the Arwar Free Company if you got it. Just need something to deal with it. Nice Soulfire coming in, just trying to pepper off those Chaos Warriors. Warrior Priest has definitely done a lot of good work on this front line. And now the Minotaurs are just completely unanswered. There's nothing here to stop these Minotaurs. Yeah, the Flagellants aren't going to do well against them. You really need handguns or something. Handguns or Outriders or cannons, something to shoot these Minotaurs, because you cannot deal with them in melee. They're such a menace in melee. These are great weapons. They're not even anti-infantry, and they're still just tearing apart the Empire's front line. Spears are trying to drag them down, but they have enough armor and there's so much HP that they're just not taking a whole lot of damage. And even decent MD. 30 MD for a monstrous infantry of Khorne is not bad at all. Khorne Warriors are shutting down this free company, so the one shooting piece you did have here is getting knocked out. And Crave is scrapping really, really hard. He is not out of this yet. And all he sees here are lots of skulls for the Skull Throne. So he is not done yet. And yeah, Knights Zinthar's Reichsguard have a hard time punching these Marauders. They do some nice damage on the charge, but I'd really love to see them just reinforce the center point. When you're playing a missile faction like this, it's so much better just reinforce the point you have rather than trying to push for a new one, because most of your missile pieces are really slow, and you really need them to support your front line. Because without them, well, without the Minotaur charges happen. Look at those bad boys just tearing apart the men of the Empire. Flagellants are wavering? Oh, that's the Warrior Priest. I was really confused. I thought the Flagellants were wavering. I thought Flagellants were unbreakable. And honestly, the unbreakable trait for the Flagellants is the only thing keeping them back on the field. And there we go. Hammer of the Witch is perfect for taking out those Minotaurs. It's exactly what you need. But it doesn't look like they're actually firing the Minotaurs. Looks like they have an attack order, but they're like, nah, fam. We're gonna. Oh no, they're firing. There's just one model lagging behind. Minotaurs are going up on the high ground to find a target for their great weapons in the Zinthar's Reichsguard, trying to secure their rear objective, but I don't know. I feel like they're needed here in the center, but you can't really stay in the center with that cannon just hammering into you. So we do a dual weapon coming for the high ground. Sigmar Sons should be able to beat the dual weapon. They do have quite good stats for Empire State troops, being the Arwar with rank 9 stats and unbreakable. Cannons are firing in, trying to wear down those Minotaurs, and they are doing some really good damage. But the value is actually evening up for Crave. This melee grind is going so well for Khorne. I would love to see those grenade launchers come back. There's so much infantry here just blobbed up, and not a lot of fleshhounds or anything here to shut them down. If you get some grenade launchers here, they do so much work in these Chaos Warriors and the Marauders. Or if you have another Comet, maybe from your caster, but he's probably low on wall at this point. But you need something here to clear this blob, because they are taking the objective. And so we are getting very, very close to the point where the forces of Khorne will have to 3-cap, but I'm just not sure they'll be able to stop it. And there's the grenade launchers coming back. And I'm not sure if Trogdor knows this. I hope he knows that he doesn't need to hold the center objective anymore. Just start reinforcing up here, send spears, halberds, whatever you got. Grenade launchers are excellent choice. Start routing off those Marauders. Perfect. Just get whatever you can on the high ground at this point. You don't need objective 1, you don't need objective 2. Just take all your reinforcements, shove them around to objective number 3. Again, spears, halberds, flagellants, whatever you got. Just whatever holds as long as possible. But I think Crave knows this, and he's starting to bring all these forces that have now defeated the back cap attempt, just start rotating over. Yeah, the Empire State troops are just trying to soldier on the center, but there's just not a whole lot of support for them. We do have some, what are those, Empire Knights coming for the high ground. Furies coming in as well. But this is the problem with the Alakian artillery summon. It did do some really nice damage and took out the Minotaurs you needed, but there's just not a lot to protect it. Now we got some swordsmen coming in, which should do alright to keep them alive, but that's one swordsman that isn't on the objectives where you need them. Because at this point, value is kind of secondary, and you just really got to take positioning. Good to summon the Warrior Priest, get whatever funds you can back, and just get more units on the field. Yeah, Fleshhounds do get caught by the Swordsman. It looks like they're charging the cannon as well, so they don't get the charge bonus. The Swordsman could trade alright into those guys, but they're Fleshhounds. Who am I kidding? They're Fleshhounds of Khorne. They're the most powerful unit in the game. So, what we got coming up here? Fleshhounds are circling around, and I like this play. Bring the Fleshhounds over here. You don't need to shut off the cannon, just get the Fleshhounds up here, shut down the grenade launchers, and start swarming up here with infantry. I don't know if the Empire's going to be able to hold on. They just don't have a whole lot of bodies on the point. They need to keep these grenade launchers alive, but Empire Knights are really bad at peeling Furies. Their melee stats are pretty lame. They really rely on their charge bones to deal damage, and they don't get as much collision damage as flyers. So, our Lancers are getting torn apart, and even things, if they pull away, there's Fleshhounds back here to catch them. But they do get intercepted by their Empire Knights. It's a really, really nice play from Trogdor. He really needs some more bodies up here, because the Minotaurs are coming, the Marauders are coming, the Warriors are coming, more and more Fleshhounds. He needs some Halberds up here, I feel like. Just don't think he has the bodies. That said, the center is looking a little weak. There's only 2 Khorne Knight infantry units here. Okay, so we're in a dual weapon. Maybe he could try to make a push for the center, but he just doesn't have the troops where he needs them to be. I feel like Khorne is just doing a much better job of getting their forces back on the field, which is a typical problem for the mortal factions. Just getting your units back on the field after they rout takes forever. Whereas Khorne, you can just get these Fleshhounds out every time they die. They're just immediately back in your summoning pools. So you can keep the pressure up. Just keep your foot on the gas the whole time. That's really, really hard for mortal factions to deal with. And Khorne is starting to get the cap on Objective 3. The Celestial Wizard does rout as well. Losing their Lord at this point would probably be the last nail in the coffin for the Empire. And a nice Sword of Khorne down here as well to just delete these swordsmen. So there's just no reinforcements coming. I don't think the Empire can hold on. Just a massive swarm of, admittedly, very, very tagged Khorne Knight units, but there's not a lot here to answer them. Empire Knights coming in. These are Marauders. We got Minotaurs. We got Fleshhounds. I think Khorne's got this. I don't think there's a way back in. Unless these Knights of the Blazing Sun can actually lance on these Chaos Warriors and retake the center. It's a cheeky back play, but there's so much mobility up here that they might be able to just rotate back down and answer it. And he has to get this objective soon. If his opponent 3-caps him for very long, he won't be in a 3-cap. He won't be able to force his opponent to 3-cap anymore. So he's got to take them back soon. Otherwise he'll just fall too far behind in the points. So the lancing damage does nice. And also just push right through. Get over here, just get behind these guys and rear charge them and break them. You'll break them on a rear charge immediately, and perfect. Just push past, rear charge those dual weapons. You'll break them instantly. More Minotaurs coming in, though. If those Minotaurs come to the center, that's gonna be that's gonna end the Empire. Yeah, there we go. Nice charge. Come on, break. Break, damn you. Okay, they broke in. The Empire is recapping, but I don't know if it's fast enough. No, I don't think it's. I think it's too late. I think Trogdor has to cap 2 objectives at this point. Yeah. He has to cap 2 objectives. I think Khorne has this. Valky's over here chasing off the Celestial Wizard, just trying to end him and break the Empire's leadership, and doing very, very well. Valky does pretty good at that job. But yeah, I think... Oh, wait, no. Yeah, okay, I was wrong before, but yeah, the math is hard. Yeah, Empire has to retake 2 objectives. And I don't see a way for that to happen. Free Company Militia coming in, but there's just so many more Khorne Knight bodies pouring in with nothing to protect the missiles. The Fleshhounds will tear them apart. All that's really here, a few tattered spears and the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and Minotaurs will kill both of those with a smile on their face. Charge coming in, the spears aren't quite braced. It's just, oh, just so much damage from these Minotaurs. Hammer of the Witcher is still just firing and chipping away, but it's just too little, too late. The Empire Knights are being routed off. The Knights of the Blazing Sun are being routed off. The Minotaurs are getting top of the Free Company Militia. They're just bowling balls going through these infantry. Jeez. So much damage from these Minotaurs, dude. So much damage. But, yeah. I think that's the last nail in the coffin for forces of Khorne. Or for the Empire, rather.
I knew it.
And that'll be Crave advancing to our finals. Now, this is doubly limbs. Trogdor's not out yet. He is actually playing our lower bracket semifinals as we speak. Let's check out the value, and then we'll go catch up with that game. Yeah, Khorne Warriors just grind so well against all the light armor and non-AP Empire infantry. It's so hard to deal with them. The Khorne front line is just brutal. Not to mention the Minotaurs. Minotaurs just an unholy terror. And, oh yeah, Fleshhounds go burr, by the way. Fleshhounds go burr. You know, the Witches got some good value. The Caster, really? I saw some really nice comments. I thought he had more value than that. The Warrior Priest was a nice nice tech. I'm just not sure. I don't know. The Empire frontline just cannot hold up to the Khorne frontline. So hard to actually keep your infantry alive. The handguns actually got a lot of value off. He kept them alive for a very, very long time and punished a lot of his opponent's expensive units. Knights of the Blazing Sun did alright too. Yeah. Grenades. I kind of wish we would see another grenade launcher. They just did so much work. But that is our first game, and now we have replays. So let me just best our players real quick. Alright, let me just make that replay. And then I'll catch up with chat. Alright. Axes are larger than the average Sigmarite. True. I didn't see enough hounds from the Blood Boys. Some who became more prevalent in Warhammer 3. Yeah. Never know when to summon your Minos. Do you have any tips on that? I feel like they were a little late. Yeah, you usually want your Minos out fairly early in the engagement. As Khorne, I like to wait for my Minos before I start the fight. Like, I'll usually start a lot of infantry, and then I'll summon 1 or 2 Minos, and then I'll start the fight. I don't really want to engage without them. Alright, so now we have Trogdor on the other side. And on this side we have who is it? Iosis? And we're starting at 0-0. So, what do we have now? We got Empire Norska. Alright. Trogdor definitely seems to like his Empire. And this time he's got a Steam Tank as his Lord on Black Ark. I kind of like it. Especially into a faction like Norska that is going to bring a lot of skirmish cav. It'll actually chunk out these skirmish cav very, very effectively, and it's very resilient against their fire. Like, it's armored, it's a single entity, like the skirmish cav aren't going to kill it. So I kind of like the Steam Tank pick here. Even if they didn't bring skirmish cav, things like Trolls or Wolfric or Skinwolves are still really good targets for it, so I kind of like it here. It's a little pricey for what it does, but it's basically just a mobile cannon that can't really be killed. So I kind of like it. Definitely not going to fanboy for Man Trogdor over here. Fair enough. Alright, so for the Empire, we do have that Steam Tank Lord. And we have a Firecaster support with Fireball, Burning Head, and Flaming Sword, as well as Kindle Flame. So I'm curious to see, there was a tech used a lot in Warhammer 2 where you would pair a Firecaster with Knights of the Blazing Sun, which deal fire damage. Then every time you were charging with the Knights of the Blazing Sun, you cast a Fireball for nice and cheap. Trigger Kindle Flame to give your entire enemy's army fire weakness. So that way the Knights of the Blazing Sun would benefit from that fire weakness and deal a lot more damage. I'm curious to see if we'll have that here. Because usually you don't see a whole lot of Fireball. That's the only reason I really think of the bring Fireballs to trigger that Kindle Flame passive. So I'm curious if that's what we're going to see today, especially against Norska, where they have a lot of units that are already weak to fire. Things like Skin Wolves, Ice Trolls, and Knights of the Blazing Sun are really, really good in Norska for that reason. Alright, then we got more Frontline of Flagellants, Sigmar Sun. He likes his Unbreakable Frontlines, which is not unusual. The Empire Frontline doesn't tend to hold very well, so having those Unbreakable units really bolsters that. He's got some basic archers. Interesting. Halberdiers. Then this side we got some great swords, some spears, and deathjacks, the stalked archers, the ROR. Interesting. It's another unit you don't see a whole lot, but they should be a pretty good answer to the skirmish cav. Those basic archers, as well as the Steam Tank, will do very, very well against as zoning out the skirmish cav, so that you can just deny them value and deny them targets. So, kind of like that here. Marauder Spears, Marauder Great Weapons. We got a Famir with Pit of Shades and Melkoths. Melkoths is pretty nice to chip away at the Elite Empire cav, things like Knights of the Blazing Sun or grenade launchers. Then for the infantry line, we've got Marauder, Marauder, Champion, Champion, Spear, Marauder, and Wolfric with Boat. Just Boat. Interesting. Oftentimes you see him bring Hunter Champions as well to try and get snipes on like casters or characters, but they can understand not wanting to pay for it, especially since you don't often expect Empire to be bringing super heavy duelist lords that you need to catch. We got some Pistoliers coming in. Pistoliers are really nice into other skirmish cav as well, if you have the micro for it. The advantage they have is that obviously they're a powder unit, so their projectiles fly a lot faster, so you can take a shot and then move and actually dodge your opponent's shot, whereas they can't really dodge yours because the pistols fire, or the projectile moves a lot faster. Looks like we got the steam tank just firing in, does some good damage with these horsemen, takes out a couple of models. And yeah, the horsemen are just forced to hide behind this terrain to hide from that steam tank, which is just showing the power of it. More Pistoliers, and yeah, like I said, very, very good against the skirmish cav. So, and the skirmish duels begin. I know, it's the most riveting part of Warhammer, just watching two skirmish cav units poke at each other while running away. Isn't it? It's very engaging. Yeah, pistols just firing in, yeah, see, it's very hard to dodge the pistol shots, whereas the jabs with their arcs are much, much easier to dodge. If they actually fire up in the air, and the Death Jacks as well should aid the Empire a lot in these missile duels. Caster coming in as well. Kind of curious to see, maybe we'll see some Flaming Swords of Ruin in these skirmish cav to actually increase their damage, maybe? We got committed with some Morskin Ice Wolves. Yeah. But the bot side looks like it's just be a little bit of a poke fest for a while. On the top side, curious to see if we'll actually get an engagement on the top side. I think Norska probably wants to engage on this forest. Their infantry line should win. But these archers could be a little bit of a menace against the Marauders. Champions should be pretty resilient against them, but the base Marauders will take a beating. Good from Trogdor, just putting, like I said before, just putting one toe on the point. This way your missiles can stay as far back as possible, and they have to come all the way across the point into you through this narrow choke. So they can't really get any flanks on you as well. So I quite like this from Trogdor. Yeah, and more Norscan Warhounds, as well as some Famir great weapons. Don't see those very often. Archers are firing into the Ice Wolves, taking the shots for the skirmish cav, so the skirmish cav can actually survive and get their shots off. Not a terrible play. Pistoliers taking a little bit of damage in return, they need to get a little further back. Death Jacks are doing some good damage, and the Spears are actually catching them, so this get the skirmish cav duty to pull back. They're taking quite a beating from those Death Jacks as well as the Pistoliers. Some really, really nice damage. Wolves or doggos are going to try to slip through, and they are more than a match with these archers, so greatswords really need to just close that gap. But the hounds are through, and you're right on top of those archers, taking a bit of a volley in the meantime. What do we have coming in? Knights of the Blazing Sun. They'll kill those dogs, but I don't think it's going to happen in time. The dogs have gotten into the archers. Greatswords are trying to peel, but they're getting rear charged with Marauder great ones in the meantime. Burning Head coming down the skirmish cav. That's a nice Burning Head, just roasting the cavalry. Yeah, the archers are getting eaten by doggos. Cav are beating off their own doggos, and now what do we got? The Famir should be an absolute terror here. There's not much here that's equipped to deal with them. They are pretty heavily armored and have good missile resist, so this shooting isn't going to do a whole lot against them. There needs to be some handgunners or something to actually deal with them. On the top side, the Empire is engaging, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. You're probably winning down, trying to win down here. I think your force up there probably loses, so you need to be a bit careful about that. Knights of the Blazing Sun should be able to turn the tide of this fight, though. Famir are a problem, though. They are great weapons, they're anti-large, they'll destroy the Knights of the Blazing Sun. But the Blazing Sun Knights do get onto the skirmish cav and should tear them apart very, very quickly. But those Famir are very scary. I'm not sure anything here can really kill them. Knights of the Blazing Sun are getting in the fight, though. And like I was saying before, I'd love to see a spellcast come down to try and trigger the fire passives. The Knights of the Blazing Sun actually trade a lot better in these Famir. The great weapons are just tearing apart those the Blazing Sun Knights. Coming in. We got grenade launchers coming in as well. That should do good against clearing off with the infantry. If you actually clear off these Marauders, the Spears and the Cav should be able to kill off those Famir pretty well. Without support, they're a lot weaker. Good dodge with the Scrim Cav. Great. The steam tank is just firing at the Marauders up top, not doing a whole lot. Most of the fighting is happening down here. These Tashnar are finished off with just one volley from the grenades, looked like. Loads and loads of damage. But yeah, those Famir are just tearing apart the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Knights of the Blazing Sun. I don't know, maybe it was just the Marauders? I don't know. These guys got shut down pretty hard by something. Not a whole lot of value on the Famir, though. Melkost coming on the skirmish cav, trying to finish them off as they do pile in the Spears, trying to get shots on the back line. Little bit of a miss micro, but understandable given the circumstances. Skinwolves coming in as well. Norse guys control the objective for the moment, but they are losing it. And on the high ground, Empire, it feels like they're losing, so they're trying to force this fight on the high ground. Again, I think is a mistake. I feel like these champions are so hard to chew through. Flatchen's going to have a very hard time breaking it, but they do miss the charges, so it should go all right for the Empire. We have some Empire Knights coming in, trying on these skirmish calves, shut them down. The Empire front line is starting to buckle on the low ground. Pit of Shades coming down the outward grenade launchers. Good dodge here from Trogdor. Okay, on the high ground, how are things going on the high ground? The steam tank is just getting in, just being an absolute terror. I kind of like it, the steam tank. I mean, what's Wolfert going to do about it? He's not AP. He's anti-large, but this thing has 160 armor. He ain't going to do anything against it. Nice boat coming in, just chipping down the archers and the halberds, but champions just running right through, and I love this. Just slip through the lines, then you can either rear charge or go for the archers. Either way, you're pretty happy. Back on the other side, things are starting to thin out. Everything's starting to get really damaged. With these Famir, there's nothing to stop them. They're just going from unit to unit and tearing them apart. These greatswords are no match for them as well. The armor sunder as well, to make them just really, really squishy even against the infantry. I think Norska's got this. There's just nothing to kill those Famir. Archers are getting compromised by the Skirm Cav and the champions. Champions are intercepted by the halberds, but the archers, I mean, the halberds are not going to beat these champions. We're our champions, just a nasty infantry unit. Nice Springhead come down, starts roasting the champions a little bit, but champions are heavily armored. They get to those marauders too, 2 for 1, not bad. Yeah, actually, Empire's doing pretty well in this trade. The champions are hanging on there, but the base marauders are dying off very quickly. The archers, the skirmish cav. So in all, things are going pretty well for Trogdor so far. Outside does Famir, man, this Famir. Only got 800 value, but they've kind of cleared off all the threats they needed to. So Norse gets a pretty solid hold on the bot side, which means the Empire really needs to punch through up here, which they are doing slowly but surely. There's just not a whole lot of AP up here. There's nothing really to kill off these champs, except the steam tank, which does have AP melee, but to me that's kind of overwhelming. I'd kind of rather see it just sit here and get some envelade shots to try to hit as many models as possible by getting like lining up alongside. So yeah. But we do have lots and lots of cav pouring in. We got Empire Knights. We got Empire Knights. They should be able to get around the side and just start lancing down and rear charging. Fireball comes in the Manticore. Manticores dodge because they are magical dodging Manticores, and that's what they do. Next Blazing Sun get a nice rear charge, and these are our champs, but their melee defense is so high. It does some damage. It does some damage. Yeah. One second. Alright. Yeah, the Empire is winning up this high ground fight. If some grenade launchers come in, they'll shoot apart the champions for them. Famir have cleared out the bottom point. There's not a whole lot left here. Both sides traded pretty heavily, and now it's just kind of a wash. Nobody's really alive down here anymore except a couple of tattered Famir. The Empire Knights are doing good work, just tearing apart what remains of the tattered Norse infantry. Wolverk's chasing around the steam tank, but like I said, he can barely damage this thing. He doesn't have great AP values for a duelist. Like I said, 160 armor, not to mention a lot of hit points. So yeah, this is looking pretty good for the Empire. They're up a little bit of value. They are starting to take the objectives back. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing something trying to come down here and just sneak... okay. I was going to say just try to stake objective number 3, but there are Norse and Mirage coming over here. Now we do have a little bit of back push. The force from the low ground have rotated up. Some skin wolves, some Famir, infantry. The infantry are finished off by the Hammer of the Witches. Oh, and the Hammer of the Witches is actually pretty nice insurance against the back cap, because all these Famir will get hammered by it. That's a good answer to these Famir. Another Fireball coming in on the Manticore does some good damage. The Empire Cav are starting to get worn down, both by the Skirmishers, by the Manticore. Beast of Tashnor, but the Archers are just free firing. There's nothing here to stop the Archers. They can just damage whatever they want. There's some more Ice Wolves coming in, but Norske is actually managing to hold on to the objective. They've worn down the Empire front line so much, there's just nothing here to hold it. And this is the Empire's biggest problem, is that their infantry line just doesn't last very long. Skin Wolves are again the Archers, but they actually kind of struggle to kill the infantry very quickly, as they rely on their anti-large bonus, but Halberds here as well to peel them off, so... And Famir are just getting hammered by the artillery, I assume? No, the artillery... Oh, that's a bit of a mismicro. The artillery is chasing something. Okay, now it gets on the Famir and give me those shots, baby. Tear apart these Famir. Oh, Pit of Shades coming down. Nice, gets the Halberd. The Halberds are a big problem for the Norskins because they're kind of relying on their large units at this point in the game. Give me those shots. I want to see it. Right in the back of the Famir. Okay, well, they're just not going to do it. They're gonna tease me, I guess. Northwoods are threatening a 3-cap very quickly, and they have actually flipped the value lead in their favor. And the Empire Cannons are entirely whiffing. There's a nice shot. Takes out a Famir. But yeah, the Empire front line is just getting torn apart. The archers are shut down finally, and I think Norska's got this at this point. It's a 3-cap coming in and a value lead. It's looking suddenly very, very rough. That flank from Norska was brutal. Keeping the the Skin Wolves and the Famir onto the archers and finally shutting them down, as well as just dragging down the Empire front line. And these, the champions aren't dead. It's just some new Marauders. Okay. I was about to say how good champions are for the umpteenth time, but they are in fact dead. Now the Skin Wolves are pushing back towards that cannon. Just trying to shut it down. There are Knights of the Blazing Sun. Like I said, Knights of the Blazing Sun are so good into Skin Wolves, because Skin Wolves are regenerating, which means they have fire weakness. So the Knights of the Blazing Sun fire damage will do quite well into them. As well as their 100 armor into the non-AP Skin Wolves. They'll do very, very well. They didn't even get the charge on these guys, and look at the damage they're doing. Look at some of the dogs do get back on its artillery crew. Might be able to tear it up before the Knights of the Blazing Sun get here. Another pit of shades on the halberd, and this is just looking really brutal for the Empire. I mean, if you look around, there's not a lot of Imperial units on the field anymore. Fireball coming down on the Famir, which does trigger even more fire weakness for the Skin Wolves. So yeah, these Knights of the Blazing Sun actually get a ton of value in that quick little fight there, and rout off 2 units. So yeah, that's a really nasty combo, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. At this point, the Empire does have to 3-cap, and it's looking rough for our Sigmarite boys out here. There's just not a whole lot left in the field. Norska's doing a really, really good job just wearing down the front line and then collapsing the back line. Like I said, there's a beautiful flank from the low ground. And now, yeah, the Empire realizes after 3-caps, they have to commit to both sides. It's just so hard to do for a missile faction, because you really want to be playing around your guns and protecting them, but when you got to push all 3 sides, you kind of got to wear yourself really thin, which means you just don't have things to protect those missiles. So then you say, well, do I bring the missiles even though I can't protect them, or do I just forgo the missiles and lose a lot of my killing power? It's just a really rough situation to be in. They're just relying on Sigmar Sons and swordsmen, you know, they're cheap. They kind of just hold, and that's their job. They don't kill very quickly, even against basic Marauders. The Marauders, with their rage mechanics, should do very, very well, especially with the Manticore coming in here to support, provide terror. I think this one's going to the Norskins, folks. A shame. And the steam tank does finally fall. It got surrounded by ice hounds, and Wolfric did eventually just wear through it and chip it down. What's terror routing you? You mean terror routed from the steam tank that's dead? Are you terrified of a dead steam tank? Are you dogs or cowards? Look at these cowards. Anyway. But, yeah, don't really see a way for the Empire to get back on the field. They're just trying to spam infantry out and get on here in time, but it just seems like a futile endeavor. Just nothing here to really get on the point, and Chardor taps out. It was looking good for the Empire at first. That I feel like that flank below ground really broke the Empire's back, though. Just winning the low ground, then bringing those military units up to flank and actually shut down the archers was pretty devastating. Yeah, the Empire did a good job shutting down the skirmish cav. They didn't get a whole lot of value. But it's really hard for the Empire to make up for the fact that their infantry just loses on every front against Norska. Norska's infantry is just so good. Norska has some of the best infantry in the game, and it's really hard to make up for that disadvantage. Especially on a map that big where it's pretty hard to protect your missiles. Steam tank did okay. Caster did alright. Here's what the basic archers did. 900, 400, 400. Okay. Knights of the Blazing Sun did good work as well. Pistoliers did alright. Yeah, Pistoliers didn't do a whole lot. Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, what if these had been Huntsmen instead? Huntsmen are very, very popular among Empire players because they have better range, better damage output, they're stocked, and they have that anti-large bonus to absolutely shred things like Famir or Skin Wolves or Wolfric or Skirmcav. So I'm kind of wondering what if, like, these 4 archers has been 2 Huntsmen, or 2 or 3 Huntsmen. But I don't know. It's a valiant attempt. So Trogdor is down 0-1-0 against Osis. Not entirely sure if that's how that name is pronounced, but I am sorry. Alright. And let me grab the next replay. So, Game 2 between Trogdor and Aosis. Again, I'm not sure that name's pronounced, so sorry. If you're around, please correct me. Now we got High Elves, Wood Elves. Okay. I was actually chatting with my clanmates about this matchup earlier today. The total tavern stats say it's been pretty good for Wood Elves. Like, Wood Elves have won more often than not, but that was kind of surprising to me. With how many, like, really long-range cheap archers and silver shields the High Elves can field, it was very surprising that the Wood Elves were able to deal so well with that. Because, like, I feel like just Silverin backed up by basic archers is just so hard for the Wood Elves to deal with. They don't have a lot of good AP melee. Their missiles can't really puncture the shields, so they're also outranged pretty... Well, not outranged. They trade evenly with the basic archers. They're a lot cheaper. So I'm kind of curious to see how this matchup goes. Sigmar Suns aren't cheap. 700 is a lot as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And Sigmar Suns are alright, but they pay a lot for Unbreakable, which is just kind of which is more of a defensive stat, which is very nice for the Empire, but they in that instance they needed pushing power, which they kind of didn't, which the Empire doesn't really have in their infantry. Alright, so for the High Elves, we've got Teclis on his bird. He's got Net Famine Talk, Regrowth, Enfeebling Foe, and his Bound Fiery Convocation. I kind of like the net, especially with this many archers, to just try and pin an enemy archer out in the open and shoot it to pieces. And we've got Silverin, Rangers, basic archers, and a Silver Helm Shield. Alright, just an archer line back to infantry line back to archers. And, oh, we've got some Shadow Warriors off on the side as well. Way out here in the marshes. Curious to see what he's going to do with these guys. They even camouflage against the reeds. Okay, so trying to play the Wood Elves game against them. They're stocked archers. We got double Way Watcher and Deepwood Scout. Drycha with Pit of Shades, the Summon, and then all of her buffs. Then we got Eternal Guard, Shields, Glade Guard, Eternal Guard, Shields. So yeah, a lot of archers. Like I was saying, I feel like you just have a frontline of Silverin, the Wood Elves have a really, really hard time dealing with that. We've got a Waystalker over here as well. I assume with Arrow of Kurnos, yeah. I'm curious to see what his target will be, because I don't know, Arrow of Kurnos doesn't seem to do well against anything other than single entities. I'm curious if he's going to shoot Teclis or try to get maybe an on-blade shot against some of the infantry. It's the bunched up high elf infantry, maybe it'll do alright. Not really sure. Way Watcher's firing in. The Rangers unshielded will take a lot of damage very, very quickly, so they need to back up. Try to hide behind the shields. Stormmirers coming in. Stormmirers are a nice reinforcement. They do have fire while moving and Vanguard, but they are unshielded, so I'm a little concerned for their safety over here, to be honest. Those Way Watchers will tear them apart very, very quickly. No, Way Watcher's firing on the Rangers, and I like this. Teclis needs to move up and start scouting these Way Watchers, but also needs to avoid getting shot, so it's kind of a balance you strike. Because once the Way Watchers are spotted, those basic archers will trade very, very well into the much more expensive Way Watchers. So the Way Watchers need to make sure they stay out of sight and punish Teclis if he walks up, which they are doing very, very well. Wondering how Eternal Guard trade into Silverin, they do have AP. Yeah, but they also have very, very little melee attack. So Silverin have 54 melee defense with, Militia Prowess up. So the Eternal Guard, it's going to be the longest fight you've ever seen, but Silverin should win before, eventually. Like, they're both just going to have incredibly low damage output. Way Watchers are shooting on the basic archers, but like I said, the basic archers actually trade really, really well in the Way Watchers. Way Watchers are squishy, so are Glade Guard, so these 450 archers are kind of trading very, very well in these much more expensive Wood Elf archers. Rangers are coming in, and I kind of like to see the Silverhound start pushing up and getting involved. Overcast Net and the Fiery Convocation. Oh, that could be a brutal combo. Oh, give it to me, Teclis. Give it to me. Beautiful. Oh, that's so much value. Half health, two-way Watcher and Deepwood Scout. You're still netted. Why are you moving? Stop that. Stop that. Okay, now you can move. Cav are coming in to punish as well. There's no real Cav answer from the Wood Elves, so if these guys can get back, just swing on the Way Watchers. Perfect. Perfect from Trogdor. Get on those Way Watchers. Beautiful. They'll shut down. There are some Glade Guard coming in, but Glade Guard aren't AP. They won't shut down the Silverhelm super fast. And for Cav, Silverhelms have really good melee defense, so more and more Illyrian Reavers and really Archers coming in, just trying to punish that Wood Elf missile position. Doing a very good job of it. Deepwood Scouts already routing. The Way Watchers aren't long for this world either. And the Archers are just free firing. And we do get a Dryad summon on top of the Archers in the back. But these Shadow Warriors really need to get into the fight. It's just like 1,600 golden funds that just aren't really participating in the fight. And it's still going pretty well for the High Elves, to be honest. They're down a little bit of value, but once those Deepwood Scouts, or the Shadow Warriors come and get involved, I feel like they're going pretty well. Teclis comes and lands on the Way Watchers. The Illyrian Reaver Archers are getting recharged by Glade Guard. Sandwich between spears, that's not going to turn out very well for the Illyrian Reavers. Teclis in the backfield, but Teclis is getting crossfired, and he does not have a lot of HP. He's on a Phoenix. Does he have the regrowth ability the other Phoenixes do? I don't see it. He does have regrowth available. But he doesn't have his Potion of Chori either, so he could be in a lot of trouble. Teclis and that bird need to skedaddle before they get taken out. Down only 1,000 hit points. He needs to get in the air and he needs to get a regrowth off really, really quickly. And that's actually a massive value swing in favor of the Wood Elves. That could be real, real brutal. Sorry, one moment. I do check something. Cav Swarm and the Showers are finally getting involved, but they are getting a Vanguard Summon of Dryas right on top of them, which is pretty brutal. So, looks like the Cav push from the Wood Elves has been largely shut down. The Archers are back online, which is looking pretty brutal. Teclis had to fall back and just kind of wait for Wom to get that regrowth. And now the Glade Riders are pushing up and starting to punish those High Elf Archers. We do have some the Storm Riders back online, which will be pretty good, do some nice damage to those light armored Cav, but the Dryads catching out those Shadow Warriors is pretty unfortunate. Now the Glade Riders are shutting down all these Archers, getting some nice value. The Firebark Elders are in the backfield, punching those Archers to pieces. A few Silver Helms still up in the backfield, can do some good work against these Archers, but the High Elves have taken a lot of value loss, and Teclis is in a fight with still very little HP. Okay, he's got a regrowth popped. He should be fine. We got Talons of Torcalda as well as some Spearmen coming in, trying to punish those Cav, but this is looking kind of rough. They're down a lot of value. Granted, a lot of that value is on Teclis, and he'll be able to heal that up, so it should be okay for the High Elves. It's just scrapping pretty hard, but with these Waywatchers still online, the Deepwood Scouts with still a lot of models, it's a lot of potential damage if they can get that ammo off on the frontline fight. So they really would love to finish those guys off if possible, but I just don't see a way for it to happen. Silverhelm's coming in trying to peel off those Dryads, and currently the High Elves do hold both the top and the center objective and are scrapping back value pretty effectively. But Teclis needs to be very, very careful he doesn't die off, because with that Waystalker still on the field, maybe, where'd that Waystalker end up? Yeah, right here. That Waystalker is probably just pumping shots into Teclis and doing a lot of good damage. Because that Waystalker just loves shooting single entities, like that's what it's really, really good at. And Teclis doesn't have a huge amount of armor, so he needs to be very, very careful about that Waystalker. Firebark Elders are quite a nuisance, but yeah, the bigger problem is just this missile line back here. Rangers are pushing the Dryads, but Dryads honestly probably win that fight. Rangers are a little overpriced, I'll be honest, for what they do, and Dryads having magic attacks to punch through the physical resist the Rangers in a pretty good spot. And this is just a dangerous missile core. What else have back here? It's really safe. You can just sit here and pick apart whatever they like. Firebark Elders are getting focus fired over by about 4 archers, just doing a lot of damage to them. Spears filing in as well. But the problem is they are fire archers firing in on the Firebark Elders, who do have a good deal of fire resist. And the Wood Elves are starting to back up the top objective as well as taking the center objective. Another net coming in. Are we going to see another fiery convocation? That should do some nice damage. Maybe finish off that Waywatcher. Maybe get these Deepwood Scouts as well. Come on, Teclis. Your people need you. But he's taking a lot of shots for the privilege of taking off that spell. It does take the Waywatchers low, but there's still 16 models and they're still shooting. And Waywatchers are so hard to break, man. And Teclis is down to only 600 HP. And with all these arrows, it's so dangerous for him to get anywhere near the fight and actually apply the terror that he's kind of here for. It's really, really rough. And just look at all these missiles still alive. They're in tattered HP, but they hit so hard even with so few models. Pretty rough. Pretty rough. Yeah. 3 cap almost come in, but the High Elves do deny it. Just barely. They get Silver Helms up here to take out these Glade Riders, as well as some Skirmish Cav and the Spears filing in. Shadow Warriors doing their part, but it's just such a this death ball here in the center of Spears and Archers is just really difficult to remove, as well as the Spear position down here just moving up. There's just not a lot of High Elf units left on the field, so it's looking actually pretty rough for Trogdor. He needs something to get in here and actually grind through all these Spears, but Rangers aren't very good at that. They kind of underperformed their price. Like, High Elves really struggle with just a lot of cheap shielded Spears. I mean, I guess both of these factions do, but you know, well, one of them has a lot of shield spears on the field. Phoenix Guard moving to the high ground, and that's a little risky with these Waywatchers still on the field. The Waywatchers get up here and just punish those Phoenix Guard, as well as Drytooth with their Pits of Shades. That Phoenix Guard, I'm really nervous for that Phoenix Guard. Really, really nervous. Let's see, what do we have something in? We have some Lothern Sea Guard, as well as some Spearmen coming in, and the problem is Spearmen just don't kill infantry very, very quickly. Things like Dryads just outperform them as far as killing speed. They'll do alright. I don't actually know who wins between High Elf Spearman and Wood Elf Spearman. Yeah, probably the High Elf thanks to martial prowess. But it's going to take so long. It takes them forever to grind through infantry, and it's a little bit rough. On the Tie Ground, Phoenix Guard are going to trade really well in this melee blob. Glade Riders, Eternal Guard. Yeah, meet the Phoenix Guard. Yeah, there we go. Look at those elite High Elves. I am just waiting for the pit of Shades to come down. And we have Zoats! There are Zoats on the field, but they realize those are Phoenix Guard, which means they are leaving. And Zoats, these are the basic ones, which means they have Bound, Flesh to Stone, and Earth Blood. But yeah, they realize there's a Phoenix Guard, and they say, nope, we're going elsewhere. They don't need to take that high ground either. Wood Elves are pretty content to just sit here and reinforce spears and archers in the center, and just hold its position, which the High Elves are making a push for objective number 3. They got some spears coming in, they got some archers, but these archers are kind of tattered and low on ammo, so they might not do that well. They are finally finishing off those Deepwood Scouts, as well as Way Watchers. And with those off the field, those Phoenix Guard are so much harder to contest. The only thing to really deal with those is a Pit of Shades. So that's actually a pretty big win for the High Elves. Nice Pit of Shades coming down. Oh, that's brutal. It's going to catch half those Rangers and the Lothland Sea Guard. Beautiful pit from Drycha. Beautiful. Yeah. High Elf Spearmen are just grinding, and we just got a nice little spear pit here. But the archer support should mean that the High Elves win this off pretty decisively. Well, counter archer support. Blade Guard coming in. They're just basic ones, no poison or anything, so they do quite well to tear apart those Rangers, which are the biggest threat, so I kind of like that. Stormriders charging into melee as they run out of ammo. Teclis appears to have been desummoned, which I think is the right play. He was very low in health and just kind of a liability, so quite like that. Cat fight up here, but this one has spear support, so these Illian Reavers need to be careful. Archers getting some really nice value in, and yeah, Trogdor is really scrapping this out after taking so much damage on Teclis early. I thought this was going to go a lot worse for him, so yeah. But High Elves are taking this objective back, but their units are starting to get pretty low, so their martial prowess is going to be dropping, and these archers are just kind of uncontested, firing on these unshielded, unarmored rangers. These really good damage. Eternal Guard shields have 6 less MD and 4 more MA. Is that before or after talking about martial prowess? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, Zoats are getting the backfield, and these full health Zoats are going to be an absolute menace. They have a lot of missile resist and a lot of HP as well as decent armor, so shooting them is kind of hard to do, and they can just outmaneuver the spears, so they should be able to just tear apart these archers whenever they feel like. Maybe run into some cav. I really like the Zoats pick. I don't know why, I just like seeing Zoats. They're so cool. Look at these bad boys. They're just Ninja Turtles with dragon torsos, or dragon legs. Anyway. But the Wood Elf reinforcements are coming in down here. It looks like the High Elves are committing all their forces to the high ground. Silver Helms, lots of Silver Helms just trying to hold objective number 1, so they're doing pretty well. The spear position in the middle they're not really equipped to deal with, as they have mostly cavalry. And meanwhile, their forces on the low ground are just getting worn down through a battle of attrition. And the Zoats are just cleaning up their archers. So I'd really like to see a concerted push on one side or the other with the cav and the infantry, rather than have your cav on one side and the infantry the other. A little bit split, really can't support, whereas the Wood Elves are concentrated down here. They have this nice safe position back here for their archers, their spears on the other side. It's really hard for the High Elves to actually get in there. Phoenix Guard are moving towards the center, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't see the Pit of Shades in them yet. Usually when I see an elite infantry like this, I just hear alarm bells in my head and just, Pit of Shades there. Yes, Pit of Shades right here, please. But they haven't actually done a whole lot yet. They're just going to kind of chill out on the side, grinding the infantry, so they're not been a huge threat. Archers are now firing into them, but they are pretty tanky. They have missile resist, they do not, but they do have fizz resist, so they should be just fine. Yeah, high ground, Dryads are tearing around these Illyrian Reavers just fine. Illyrian Reaver archers are out of ammo, so not doing a whole lot. Rangers coming to clean them up, though. Yeah, this is pretty scrappy. We got the Towns of Caldic still firing off the last of their shots into the Zoats. There's lots and lots of cavalry coming in for the High Elves. Not a lot to deal with these spears. They're just kind of relying on the Phoenix Guard and these Silverin. And like I said, Silverin just haven't taken a whole lot of damage. They've been fighting for ages and ages. They're still very, very healthy. There's not a whole lot the Wood Elves have to deal with them. And I wish we'd seen a little bit more Silverin from Trogdor. Now the Phoenix Guard and the Silver Helms are just trying to catch the Zoats, and the Zoats want no part of it. But they do eventually get caught, and if these Phoenix Guard pour in, that's the one thing that can actually kill these Zoats, especially with all this fire support coming from the Talons of Torcalda, who have very good damage output, but they are out of ammo, which is really unfortunate timing. Really love to see some more fire support on the Zotes, who are tearing apart these Silver Helms. Tearing them to pieces. Phoenix Guard are pouring in, but I think they're mostly caught up in the spears, so the Zotes are actually pretty safe. Yeah, this is looking like a pretty Wood Elf favored fight here in the center. Just a lot more units. The Zotes tear apart the Cav. The Phoenix Guard are getting worn down just by the spears, the Zotes, and the Archer fire. Cav is coming in on the flank for the High Elves, getting into these Glade Guard, taking out the Wood Elf Archer support, but the Zotes are here to peel. The Zotes are coming, baby. These Zotes, man, they're tearing apart Silverhelms now. And Silverhelms aren't the most elite Cav ever, but still, Zotes are doing pretty well against them. On the high ground, we do have some Dryads and some Archers coming in, and there's not a whole lot here to defend it for the High Elves, so a 3-cap could come in very quickly if Trogdor isn't careful. And at this point, he's very, very far behind objective tickets anyway, so he needs to be very careful about which objective he's taking and getting up. Why was that horn sounded? There's no... Ah, reinforcements. Okay, Storm Riders. Again, Storm Riders are nice to push a point. These Tutorial Guard are unshielded, so if these Storm Riders push up and sit here, to be able to shoot their opponent off the point, but I don't know if it's going to happen fast enough. The High Elves are on a tight clock. The Zotes are just grinding into Spears and Rangers and doing pretty well, to be honest. 700 gold value so far. Done a good job punishing his opponent's Cav, but at this point, the High Elves do have to 3-cap, and I just don't see it happening. The Storm Riders are going to give it a go, but they're losing their backfield point. In the meantime, their Cav Archers are just getting shut down before even using their ammo. Doing a good job doing the same to Deepwood Scouts, but the Dryads are tearing them apart. In the middle of the fight's just kind of a wash. Nobody's really winning decisively, and these spears are so hard to remove. I feel like you have to shoot the spears. They have silver shields as well, so it's just so hard for both of these factions to remove silver shielded spears. And I feel like the Wood Elves just brought more of them. Yeah, like I said, Storm Riders are sitting here shooting. They should be able to take the objective. Admittedly, very, very slowly, but they should take it. I mean, meanwhile, the back cap's coming in for the Wood Elves, so Shadow Warriors coming in. I mean, they'll do alright damage, but they won't take the Dryads off the point very quickly. Nice. Pit of Shades coming in here where there's Eternal Guard. Or, sorry, get rid of... Oh, no. Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do. Silver has a lot of magic resist, but you need them gone, so Pit of Shades is kind of your best bet. So I don't mind seeing that coming in. But now the cap weight is slightly in the... Well, nope. Going back and forth. It's not sure who it favors. Very, very close. On the far side, the Spears do finally realize they need to charge the Storm Riders. Storm Riders have charge reflection, so they should do just fine here, right? Yeah. Storm Riders should do just fine here. Glade Riders are coming in with a nice rear charge. These are spear units. They should be just fine, but... Oh, wait, we got the double rear charge in the spear fight. Oh, brilliant. There's some beautiful elf-on-elf action. Oof. Oh, geez, that Silverhelm charge is really nice. Silverhelm with a really nice charge bonus. It's a lot of good damage, and this point should go to the High Elves, but it's just too late. Only 50 points remaining, and meanwhile, the Wood Elves do have a 3-cap, so I just think Trogdor is just a day late and a dollar short, unfortunately. I feel like at the beginning, if those Shadow Warriors just been part of the fight a little bit sooner, that would have been so much better. You get the Cav charge in the back, the Shadow Warriors firing over the top, actually finish off those Way Watchers. But as it is, Iosis is going to take it and go to our finals to face off against Crave. Yeah. Necklace, yeah, he got some good value, but didn't pay for himself. Silverin did really, really well. I feel like if we'd just seen more Silverin, it would be in a really good spot with the High Elf build. Basic Archer's still alright. Yeah, I feel like just Silverin backed up with Basic Archers is so brutal for Wood Elves to deal with. Yeah, Lothar did okay. Phoenix Guard did okay. Even if Archer's doing alright. Silverhelms actually did really good work. Yeah, Wood Elves don't have a lot to deal with armored calves, so I really like the Silverhelm pick here. Honestly, I wonder if you just go all the way and bring out some Dragon Princes. Waystalker did damage, Strikes got a lot, Waystalkers did well, and yeah. Not quite finished off those Waystalkers, I feel like really, really hurt Trogdor. Like I said, I feel like those Shadow Warriors had been there to back up the Cav push and just shoot over the top and finish off those Way Watchers, we'd have had an entirely different game. The Zotes! They got 1,000 value, but they're still full health, so we'll call that a win for Zotes. Alright, so like I said, that is Iosis advancing to our finals to face Crave. So, we have caught up to live, so now we're going to hop into a lobby with our players and get these finals underway. So let me... Alright. get our screen blocker up. Why is it? Why are you the way you are, screen blocker? Alright, so I've got Iosis versus Crave. And the score is back to 0-0. And this screen blocker is not blocking enough. So I believe our players are just about done with their picks and bans. So Crave did do me the kindness of sending me the picks, so we can talk about those real quick. But first, let's catch up on chat. What are you guys up to? All right, after prowess. Okay. Those spears honestly have pretty terrible base stats of 500 costs. Yeah, I hate high elf basic spears. Like if I'm bringing spears, I'm bringing silver, and even I'm not a huge fan of silver. And I see Zotes. Yeah, the Zotes are a really cool pick. Yeah, I kind of like the Zotes. I feel like what else bring Chillwind for Silverin? I don't know if that does a whole lot. I feel like if you're gonna kill Silverin, Pit of Shades is the way to go. Like it's AP enough anyway. Yeah, Chillwind has a lot of AP, but so does Pit of Shades. So like Pit of Shades is just more versatile, I feel like. Especially since you want Drycha anyway for the Dryad summons, I think. Like Drycha is a nice character and has Pit of Shades. You're pretty happy to bring Pit of Shades, I think. So much cat fully expecting War Dancers. That's on Master Guard. Big blunder on Techless. Yeah. I know you did alright. Okay, go away. Windows, I don't care right now. Windows just told me I'm running low on disk space, and I don't particularly care. Yeah, I don't know. The Silver Helms did pretty well. The Leer Reaver Archers did alright as well. There's other there's spells in Lord Dark besides Soul Stealer? No, there's not. It's only Soul Stealer. Yeah, GG's. Well played, Trogdor. It's a valiant attempt. Dragon Princes? Yeah, Dragon Princes seem really strong. The one thing I'd be a little worried about with them is nets. Like if you bring a Glady with Pravenoth Raymond and it's getting shot by Way Watchers, that can be a massive value sink. But other than that, yeah. What else and High Elves both really struggle to deal with Armored Cav. Do High Elf Spears even trade well against Dread Spears? I have no idea. Dread Spears, I hate both of those units to be honest. I don't like High Elf Spears or Dread Spears. They're both pretty terrible spear units. Alright, so picks and bans for this game. We have... Okay, so the global bans are Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, Tzeentch, Slanesh, Walk, Dark Elves. Interesting. So we got Crave picking Khorne, Skaven, High Elves, ban Dwarves. I like the Dwarf ban. Nobody likes Dwarves. Then we got Norska ban High Elves. So we got Khorne Norska. Well, I know in this matchup the Blood God will be satisfied either way. These are both very, very fighty, aggressive factions. So curious to see how we get this to go. Glady Supremacy. Yeah, I'm always really scared of Gladies when I go into what else. Nobody ever brings them, but I'm always like worried about that when I'm building my army. Alright. So sorry, well these guys are making their army, so I'm just catching up with Discord messages real quick. So just one moment. I swear, every time I go live, people just start messaging me or pinging me. Never fails. Alright. So. Khorne, Norsca. So I think this is probably a Khorne favorite matchup. I played it quite a bit, actually. What I usually see happening is that Minotaurs of Khorne are just really, really brutal for Norsca to deal with. So Norsca needs to go a little kitier and just rely on their throwing axe skirm cav to actually kill the Minotaurs. Because there's not a lot else for Norsca that can actually kill Minotaurs. They don't have halberds. Their trolls get ruined by Minotaurs, so Norsca's get pretty creative in how they actually deal with them. That said, their infantry trades pretty evenly were good. But yeah, Minotaurs are the big problem. And Fleshhounds as well, but Fleshhounds are a little better, easier to deal with. Skin wolves do alright into them. But let's see what we got. So Valkia, Demon Shield, Spear Slopnir, nothing else. Very, very standard Valkia kit. Front line of basic Marauders. Then we got two basic Minotaurs and a Grey Weapon, a singular Halberd, and a singular Fleshhound. Okay, then we have those throwing axes I was talking about. Yep, very, very common. I did get the screen blocker, right? Okay, good. Norsca Trolls, not Ice Trolls, interestingly enough. I can see that Ice Trolls have a bonus, or like are better generally, but they have more fire weakness. So I can see not winning that against Khorne, but Minotaurs don't actually have fire damage, so I'm not sure about that. Wolfric with just Boat. This is one matchup where I could see you going for Hunter of Champions to try and punish Valkia, because it has a nice slow, so if you can catch her on the ground and actually kill her, that's a pretty big win. But the Demon Shield does make it pretty hard to catch her, and she's generally very slippery. Then we got Marauders Grey Weapons, and I think I saw Marauders Champion Grey Weapons. The Marauder Champion Grey Weapons, I don't really like this unit generally, because they lose like 18 melee defense to get the Grey Weapons. They don't get a whole lot back except AP. They don't get extra weapon strength. They get a very small amount of melee attack. So generally I'm not a fan of these guys, but they do quite well into Khorne Warriors. So I'm kind of curious to see how they perform here. And then we have a Balefiend with Pit of Shades, which is extremely common. So yeah, typically how I play this with Norsca is I play really cagey and I just don't really give Khorne a fight. And I just want to throw my axes as much as possible. Try to avoid throwing at Valkia because she's just going to waste her ammo. Throw at the infantry, ideally the Minotaurs if you can, but usually end up throwing the infantry. So. So yeah, skirmish is going to be in. Fleshhound's actually doing a pretty good job of screening it. Fleshhound's actually really hard to shoot because there's so few models and they have good melee or physical resist. They're just not very big. They do a good job of screening out the skirm cav. They do a big bit of damage in return. And this is actually pretty good from Crave on Khorne. Just using one Fleshhound to protect all of his Minotaurs and infantry from the skirmish cav. Taking a little bit of damage in return, but it's not doing too bad so far. Then we do have them squaring off a little bit. You know, Norsca's decided to take the low ground, take these two objectives in the center, whereas Khorne has opted not to take the center just yet, but does get the high ground in exchange. So I kind of like to see Khorne maybe wrap around the side a little bit, go around this way, because then you can just engage on this flank of Norsca pretty quickly. And then all these units over here have to like take time and rotate over. So I kind of like that on this map. If you just wrap, you can go really far this way if your opponent lets you. And then just collapse on one end of their flank and crush it, and then turn and face the other half of their army. It can be a really, really brutal maneuver if you can execute it quickly, although it's usually pretty telegraphed. Your opponent does have time to react to it. But even if they react to it, then they have to kind of give up space in the middle. Or expose themselves to being flanked on the far side. Anyway, we just got skirmishing. That's why I'm off topic and just kind of discussing tactics. Skirmishing, poking. Not a whole lot of fighting just yet. Yeah, in this stage of the game, Norsca really just wants to get as much value out of this skirmish cav as possible, and Khorne really just wants to make sure they're getting all of their Minotaurs out, looks like. We do have another Minotaur on the field. Looks like 2 Grey Weapons, 2 normals right now. Curious to see if we'll get even more Minotaurs, because they can bring 6. And there's a lot of Khorne players who do like to bring 6, because Minotaurs are just that good. So, we do have Fleshhounds wrapping a little bit, trying to get pretty up here, but it looks like we'll just have the Halberd sitting up here to hold this objective. Pretty common play. Norsca does have the center, and will skirmish it, so Khorne will have to take the fight sooner or later to try and force their opponent off one of these objectives. I'm curious to see what Khorne is waiting for before they actually start the fight. Because usually with melee factions like this, which I feel like Khorne is the aggressor here, because they're not the ones with missiles. So it's kind of on Khorne to start the fight. So I'm curious to see what they're waiting for. If they just want all 4 of their Minotaurs and some Fleshhounds, or if they're summoning in something bigger, or just want more army bodies on the field. Beast Attachment are coming in. Beast Attachment actually aren't bad for punishing minnows. They're not going to fight them well 1v1. But if you can get a rear charge on them, and especially if they're isolated, it'll actually tear them apart very, very quickly with their anti-large bonus. And pretty good damage output. But the fight starts. Minotaurs are going to start just barreling through the front line. Trolls coming to counter charge, but jeez, Minotaurs are gross, dude. They do so much damage. They do so much damage. These are just the Marauders getting torn apart. The champions are coming to counter charge, which is good. Let the cheaper unit take the charge, and the Marauders can come in and back it up. Little boat, a little bit of a miss. Spear slapping around. Ooh, that unit's gone. And the melee fight has begun, and the Blood Gods shall be pleased this day. The Mirror Grey Weapons are charging in to try and counter Minotaurs. And against the anti-infantry Minotaurs, they should trade pretty well. Without infantry support, they actually have a bit of a rough time. But jeez, actually, no, they're tearing apart these Minotaurs. They're tearing them to pieces. Valkyrie's trying to help out a little bit, but jeez, the Minotaurs take a lot of damage. Grey Weapons are charging in, and that Balefy needs to be very, very careful. These Minotaur Grey Weapons get surround on him, he's gone. Reinforcements we have coming in. We have the Hellforged Host, the RR Exalted Bloodletter. That thing will tear apart any infantry gets across. These Marauder champions need to be very, very careful. Backfield Minos and Fleshhound start getting on the skirmish cav, which is a pretty big problem for Norska. You really need the skirmish cav to kill those Minos for you, because not a lot else that will. Value's going a little bit in favor of Khorne, but it's pretty even so far. Champions coming in, more Marauders as well. And yeah, Champions, Ice Wolves. But the fight on the front line seems just going so much better for Khorne. I didn't mean to push that button. Like, the infantry is just broken so quickly. The Marauder champions are trying, but their melee defense is so low. The Minotaurs, even the Grey Ones, are just tearing them apart. And now Wolfric is in a bit of a monster mash. I wouldn't mind seeing Valkyrie get over here and try to finish off Wolfric. He's surrounded by Minos. If you just give attack orders on him, he's not going anywhere. The Balefine as well. Where's Valkyrie? Okay, Valkyrie's over here. She could go over and then get that snipe. I said the Khorne infantry line is getting decimated pretty quickly. They're mostly Marauders, so they're all gone, but the Minos are still the problem. But without infantry support, they're a lot easier to deal with. Champs with their amazing melee defense should be able to do just fine into them, as the anti-large Minos will struggle to hit them. And yeah, they're actually doing pretty well grinding against these Minos without infantry support. Minos really, really need the infantry support. It's actually taking a lot of damage here. And North are starting to clap back actually a little bit. The reinforcements coming in, the Khorne lines getting a little disjointed, the Minotaurs are starting to fall apart. Famir are dying off as well, but they've done a good number against these Minotaurs. Have a bit of a trade there. And Wolfric is just beating on Minotaurs himself. Doing some good work. Pit of Shades in the backfield trying to get those Hellforged Hosts, and it does catch them pretty well. Well, it catches about half of them. They do have spell resist. It's going to be just fine for the moment. But they're going to tear apart these Marauder champions. They're going to tear them apart. Oh yes, the Blood God is pleased. The Blood God is pleased. Yeah, they're tearing them apart. They've already got their Hungering Blades charged up. Seafang coming in, just trying to get rid of the Hellforged Hosts. You really need Skirmish Cav over there to punish them, but it's so hard to shut them down. Norska's a little bit in the favor of the value trade. The Champs are doing very, very well. The Minotaurs are going down. Valkyrie's at the Demon Shield pop. But Wolfric plus these Marauder champions should do pretty well against Valkyrie. They're trying to chase off those Minotaurs. It's actually looking pretty good for Norska so far. The Minotaurs are all worn down pretty heavily. But they are still alive. They're still soldiering on. And now Wolfric's in a bit of trouble. These Great Weapons turn onto him with Valkyrie's help. He needs to run or get support from these Champs. He needs help to take this fight. The Wolves help a little bit. He really needs those Champs to come back and help him. Meanwhile, Norska has held two of these objectives this entire time, but now the Hellforged Host is coming. Skirmish Cav are going to get a nice charge on them, but they are Skirmish Cavs. They're not doing a whole lot. Spear Slapnir goes down. Gets just some of those Ice Wolves gone, trying to get onto Wolfric. Wolfric's running off. And these Hellforged Hosts, there's not a lot to answer. None of the Skirmish Cav have ammo left. There's no spells on available. They just went on cooldown. Boats. I think there's one boat left, maybe. And we got more and more Chaos Warriors coming in, and I think most of the AP for Norska is gone. I think mostly basic champions now. So do alright, but it'll take a long time to actually grind through. There's a few champs left on the field, though. And yeah, the Hellforged Hosts are just cutting up Marauders. They've already caught 120 kills, almost 1,000 value, and they're still going strong and only getting stronger with that Hungering Blades passive. They just hit so hard. Valkyrie is going to snipe the Balefine, which is very, very good for Khorne. If you can get rid of that Pit of Shades before it kills. Nice dodge attempt, but they feel a lot of damage. But they'll hang on. Their leadership is actually really, really good, so they'll hang on with just a little bit of HP left. But now there's so many Khorne Warriors coming in with no Pit of Shades available, and the Balefine's in trouble. But actually, Valkyrie is getting caught a little bit here. Wolfric turned, and this is a really devastating combo. Wolfric plus the Balefine, sundering Valkyrie's armor, surrounding her with champion Grey Weapons. Valkyrie could die off here. She's not careful. She needs to turn and run, but she's just stuck in the fight here. She's just stuck in. Oh, if Valkyrie dies here, that's going to be huge for Norska. It's a nice little spin attack, but she's just completely surrounded. And Valkyrie is on the run. She's down to only 750 hit points. If Wolfer can keep her from taking off and chase her down, that'd be huge. But if she can get an airborne, that's going to be really bad. Another nice boat coming in. Really good damage. Valkia, she's down to 200 hit points. Another hit from Wolfer and she's gone. Valkia's dead. That's huge for Norska. I think that's probably going to swing the whole thing. Norska's up about, 2,500 value at this point. That's huge. I think Norska's got this. There's just not a lot of Corn Force left on the field. The Minotaurs got ground down. The Warriors are running. The Marauders are dead. With Valkia gone, I don't see much way for Corn back into this. This is the good kind of melee grind mirror, where it's quick and decisive. It's not like a Counts game where it's just slow, grindy, and not very interesting. This is, it's fast-paced, and everything either kills or dies. This is the way melee mirrors should be. Wolfric is just being an absolute chad. Killing Valkia is huge, and yeah, there's just not a lot left. And look, these Marauders have so much health left, and they're routing because their leader's gone. Another nice Pit of Shades coming down, just going to finish off these Warriors. Probably finish off the Murder Champs too, but they were low enough, it didn't really matter. Got Warriors rallying in the backfield, and we have the Heralds of Khorne's Fury coming in. I feel like that's a pretty desperate play. There's not a lot. Well, no, there's not a lot to stop them here. There's not much mass. There's a hell of a Tattered Skin Wolves, but they do fire damage, and like we saw in the Empire game, like fire damage plus inflicting fire weakness to those Skin Wolves will destroy them. But they've got a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves back in this game. Do Ice Wolves? Ice Wolves have fire weakness, right? No, they don't. But a Herald's Khorne Fury being a very, very heavy cav unit, they should do very well against these Ice Wolves, and then they start charging into these infantry units. But I feel like there's not a lot else here on the field for them. They need some support. Marauders coming in. Not a bad choice. The Hellforce Show is still going strong. After 2 Pits of Shades and a Sea Fang, they're still fighting. That unit is so sticky and hard to get rid of. Meanwhile, these attachments are piling into the Herald's Khorne Fury. These attachments are infantry size, so they're getting absolutely destroyed by these Heralds. Goodness, I want to see just a full body cav charge. Oh, downhill too? Oh, give it to me. Yeah, it wasn't as good as I was expecting, I'll be honest. That was kind of underwhelming. Yeah, I kind of got from the side, so I kind of all hit the same couple of models, but, yeah. Still, doing some good work. Halberd's coming down. Some skirmish cav immediately, as soon as Halberd's leaves, just immediately going to try and backcap it. I like it. I love to see it. Herald's Khorne Fury. Looks like they have charged up their Hellblade as well. They've got over 80 kills. They've got bonus stats. They've got, what, 20% more weapon damage. It's up to 72 weapon strength. Jeez, plus 18 bonus for his infantry. Now there are trolls back on the field. Should do pretty well, but if these Heralds of Khorne Fury can get back in and start recharging, they gotta chase down these skirmish cav. These skirmish cav are on fire at will. Those Heralds are going to be taking a lot of damage. They gotta just try and win the melee fight. Get some flesh hounds. They're much better suited for chasing off the skirmish cav. They're way faster. But these throwing axes are a big problem. They'll kill the halberds. They'll kill these guys. And yeah, Skin Wolves don't want to be fighting the fire cav. They do not like the fire cav. They do not like the fire cav. Just gone. They're just gone. And that's why I kind of like this pick in this matchup. They're doing really, really good work. Now, please, give me some recharges. Go kill those trolls, maybe. Again, another unit that's weak to fire. Flesh on, give me some recharges. And Ios is actually... Crave is scrapping back pretty hard. He's pretty far behind in victory tickets, but he's making his way back into this fight, trying to break off all these infantry units. Come on, give it to me. Give me the damage. Give me those big boys. Juggernauts are such cool models, dude. I wish these cav were more common. It's just so cool, and they're just tearing apart these Marauders. It's some really good work. But the Khorne infantry line just isn't here to support them. So all the damage is being taken right onto their faces, and they're just getting destroyed. Trolls trying to countercharge them, Fleshhounds trying to bail them out. But they've got to put the world on their back to actually pull Khorne back in this game. The 3-cap is coming in as well for Norska, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it on their own. Pit of Shades coming in, slows the Marauders down as well as doing a load of damage to them. Very good work. But yeah, these Heralds of Khorne's Fury are doing really well, but I just don't think they're able to do it all on their own. Actually, if they kill Wolfric, they could totally kill Wolfric here. They have the melee stats, they have the damage. Wolfric's in a lot of trouble here. He could die off. Skin Wolves are coming in to try and bail him out, but we saw what happened last time Skin Wolves tried to fight these Heralds. Oh, Wolfric. He's routing. He's down to 500 hit points. 200 hit points. But okay, the Skin Wolves do bail him out. He should be able to get out and rally and get back at the get at least desummoned. The Trolls and the Skin Wolves are able to just beat off these guys, but they do get good value. Khorne does retake the center, but they have to take both sides, and all they have here is infantry. Slow infantry. They can't really rotate either side very quickly. Whereas Norsk has all these Skirm Cav that can just, cage them in and force them to just, waste their time getting shot while they're rotating between points. Herald's Court Fleet actually still going strong. They have so many kills, so much value already, but I don't know. Khorne does not have a lot of time. They gotta get on these points fast. Fortunately, there's not a lot of infantry from Norska on the sides. All that we have is one Marauder Grey Open and some Skirmish Cav on the sides. So Norska's forces are actually really tattered. While Khorne has so far to march and just not a lot of troops on the field that are fast. They just got a lot of infantry in the center. That said, the infantry needs to push to one side, and you gotta rely on your Fleshhounds to take the other side, I think. And you just push infantry towards the low ground and take Fleshhounds for the high ground. Although, that's how we have more Marauders coming in, as well as a lot of Norsecan mobility to try and contest this, so it's a really tough game for Khorne about how do you allocate your resources. If you put too much on one side, you're not going to be able to take the other side, and you have to take them both. You have to take them very fast. Yeah. So Khorne should be able to take the low ground. Jeez, those Fleshhounds destroyed those Marauders. All on their own. Jeez, unless there was a Sword of Khorne that I missed, but that could also be an answer. But now, yeah, some of these guys got to get towards the high ground. My frames need to start coming back. The Fleshhounds are actually getting torn apart by the Beast of Tashnar as well as the Norscan Warhounds. And yeah, we got a Minotaur coming in, but I feel like it's just going to take so long to get there. I don't think it's going to get there in time. I don't think Khorne can actually reach these objectives in time. They won the fight pretty decisively on the back end. They counterpunched really hard, almost wiped Norsk off the board, but they just don't have the time to get on these objectives. It took them too long to win the fight. These Skirmish Cav just harassing them on the way. Even if they get there, they're not going to be able to cap against the Skirmish Cav. So I think Iosis has got this. He takes the first game over Crave and goes 1-up in our series. 3, 2, 1. And Norska triumphs over the champions of Khorne. Impressive. That's a tough matchup for Norska, I feel like. That's very hard to play for Norska. So, got 1-0. Alright, let's see some of these values. Valkia did alright. The snipe on Valkia was brutal. Minotaurs, some of them actually got shut down pretty hard. I feel like without the infantry support, Minotaurs are just so much squishier. If you keep Minotaurs on top of your infantry, they're just impossible to kill, but once they get isolated, it's so much easier to kill them. They're actually pretty squishy. Herald Squad's Fury did really good work as well. Kind of wish we would have seen them come in sooner. Hellforge Host did well, Minotaurs, yeah. Wolfric did good work. He killed, killing Valky probably get him a lot of that value. Champion Great Ones. This one was summoned multiple times. That one was summoned a lot. You can tell by the chevrons. Famir Balefine did good work. Throwing Axes did well. The infantry just got mulched. Their front line got mulched by Minotaurs. Famir did alright. Skin Wolves got bodied by the Heralds. Manticore, we never saw the Manticore coming for terror. Yeah. This was very well played by Iosis. Again, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, so apologies. But that is our first game. So, now you have to wait and see what our players pick. As I said, we have caught up to live, so we're going to be catching up for a bit. Crave the chat out to hunt some wolves, yeah. Glad to catch you live. Glad to have you here. Time for a move, comrade. Should have brought Scarbrand. No Scarbrand, please. No. Yeah, Knights of the Realm would have gone right through. Yeah, I love Bretonnian Cav. It's so satisfying to charge right through infantry with Bretonnian Cav these days. It kind of feels like bullshit when you're playing against it, but it's so much fun to use. Yeah, Khorne needs a triple cap. Yep. GG's. Alright, just waiting for our players to make the picks and let me know what they are, and then I can chat about that. Did terribly come to Wood Elves well. Can't figure out High Elves at all, just don't get it. High Elves play pretty differently than Wood Elves. They play much more static. They rely pretty heavily on their Lothern Sea Guard to just have a nice archer spear wall that's pretty hard for any like mobility to actually get on top of, and then you just focus fire infantry as they come in and drop spells. But it's a very different playstyle. Wood Elves are playing very mobile, keeping their archers alive by moving them, and then just having some grindy infantry, whereas High Elves don't really have that grindy infantry. They don't have the Dryads, they don't have the War Dancers or Blade Singers, so they rely on their shooting or their cav. So with High Elves, most of your money, most of your values can be made by your archers and your cav, and your magic. Your infantry are pretty defensive, aside from White Lions, which are pretty good. You're really relying on your missiles and your calves, so. I was wondering when you'd show up, Eric, so we've been having Wood Elves all day. I was kind of surprised you weren't here. Alright, so what are the global events? So Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Warriors Cast, Dark Elves. Okay. I'm not sure what these players play, but if I were doing picks here, what would I lean towards? Let's see. Really good factions left on the field. Vampire Coast is obviously still up and very, very good. Khorne is still up for Iosis, and they're very, very strong. What else we got? Cathay is reasonably strong here. What's the map pool? You'd think I remember seeing as I made it, but I don't. So, what is the map pool? Maps are. It's a. Then we have Death. The next map is Death Pass, and then we have Black Ark. So it's definitely a very missile-friendly map. So something like Cathay or Dwarves can actually be really, really strong. Oh, all right. So picks are. So Iosis picked Wood Elves, High Elves, and Khorne, banned Skaven. Grave picked High Elves, banned Wood Elves. So you either got High Elves Mirror or High Elves Khorne. Okay, so Khorne is definitely probably one of the strongest factions left on the table, so I'm not surprised we're seeing it again. High Elves, though, is kind of interesting. High Elves are good, but I don't know if they're necessarily top tier. We've had a lot of elves today. We have a lot of Wood Elves and High Elves today. We haven't seen Dark Elves a single time. Khornes. We got Khorne High Elves. Okay. So the Spear Wall can definitely be a nuisance for Khorne. Their Minotaurs are kind of shut down by all the Lothern and the Silverin. But the Lothar and Silverin really have a hard time killing Silver Shielded Corn Warriors. Yeah, the Silver Shielded Corn Warriors are big problems. They tend to need to index into things like Pit of Shades or White Lions. Some kind of APs. They don't have a whole lot of AP options on the High Elf roster. They're really, really lacking for AP. So I suspect we'll be seeing a lot of Shielded Corn Warriors, and then High Elves find some way to deal with that. So maybe some White Lions, maybe some Elite Infantry, some Sword Masters, some Phoenix Guard, because Corn doesn't really have the spells or the shooting to punish those, so those can actually be a bit of a pick here. This is one match where you can actually see that Elite High Elf Infantry come into play, so I don't know if I'd hate that. That wouldn't be that bad. So that's definitely an option. Bit of Shades. Immerk is like the classic pick here because Valkia does fire damage, and Immerk has a large amount of fire resist, so Valkia just cannot fight him, really. And that means he rules the skies and get breath attacks and help deal with those Chaos Warriors. He's just a real big problem for Khorne. He has a bit of trouble landing, so he lands Minotaurs exist, and they'll bog him down and kill him. He's going to be a little careful. He's often paired with a Life Caster. He's definitely an absolute menace for Khorne to deal with. The other big problem is obviously Fleshhounds for High Elves. Your Cav doesn't trade super well into that, short of Dragon Princes. Silverhelms underperform against them. Illyrian Reavers just aren't statted well enough to deal with them. But the map is Death Pass, which does mitigate a little bit of that flank pressure. So you can just kind of zone out Fleshhounds with spears, because it's a pretty choky map. So definitely ways to deal with that. So I'm kind of curious to see what of these routes Crave goes for. Lord of Metal Archmage an option? It is, but it doesn't really solve the shields problem. The dragon is still nice, but it doesn't have the fire resist, so it's a little harder to actually survive Valkia. Valkia can actually go pick a fight with it pretty well. Missed the token Wood Elf game. There were 2 Wood Elf games so far, I think, or there 3. I think there were 2. I'm losing track. We had Wood Elf Skaven as our first game. We had Yeah, then we had what else? High Elves. Lore, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Lore of Metal in general. Like Plague of Rust is okay for lowering armor, but doesn't get rid of shields. So shields are still a big problem. So I'm not a huge fan. Searing Doom's okay, but most of the spells in Lore of Metal just kind of blow these days. What else is even in there? Lore of Metal. So yeah, like the Plague of Rust is fine, but it doesn't remove shields. So it's good for the Minotaurs, but it's not much use against the infantry. Searing Doom's okay. It does alright against the Minotaurs, alright against the infantry. Quivering Robe is bad. Golden Hounds is pretty bad. Transmutation Lead is pretty bad. Final Trans doesn't kill infantry, which is the problem here, so I don't think Lore of Metal actually solves your problem. New monster idea for vampires? The Glock. I saw where that was going immediately. Silver Guard do decent damage to 40 armor Chaos Warriors. And Silver Guard don't do much damage to anything. They're very, very tanky, but their damage output is pretty underwhelming. Yeah, Silver are really slow at dealing damage. And when you are using that temporary debuff, you want something that can actually punish them quickly, which Silverin are the antithesis of. And Silverin have very, very slow damage output. Like most of what you're paying for, Silverin is tankiness. They have decent damage output against the Minotaurs, because anti-large. Biggest infantry, they only have, what, 28 melee attacks? So, well, plus martial prowess. So, like, 30 melee attack, which means, yeah, they'll damage them, but it's not quick. And you have a very limited window to actually do it, so having the slow damage output really hurts you. So Master maybe alright though? Yeah. Yeah, the elite infantry of the High Elves can actually show is something you'll actually see in this matchup because there's no magic to punish them. But yeah, Minos are a problem. Phoenix Guard. I've actually lost this matchup to a Phoenix Guard build from Random Nicks a while back. Because Khorne just doesn't have good answer to Phoenix Guard. You have Spear of Slopnir, but it's very limited uses and doesn't do a ton of damage compared to like a Pit of Shades or something. So yeah. What about Orc Magic? What about Orc Magic? Talking about which spells are good for Orc Magic. I actually plan on making videos about all the spell lores pretty soon. Just doing like, you know, like 5-minute videos on each spell lore. But I've had trouble with my recording setup lately. Like when I launch OBS, I just get massive frame drops. You know, when I try to record, it's just I get super bad frame drops. So it's been really bad. I've been having a hard time recording. Anyway, looks like our players are ready. Must be some reason people always bring Lore of Death as greenskins. I don't actually see Lore of Death for greenskins as much. I see Wurzag a lot. Like the most common pick for greenskins magic is Wurzag, just passive spammage, taking what is it, Brainbuster and Edbutt, just to trigger the Bonewood Staff. To give melee attack to your whole army, because it makes your frontline trade a lot better, and your cav and all that. Alright, let's get that blocker out of there. And let's take a look. So, we do have Imric. Again, very common pick. He has Dragonhorn, Lord of Dragons, Surging Breath. So, full kit Imric on a dragon. Actually, no, not quite full pick. He doesn't have a Star Lance. We got a Life Mage with Earthblood Regrowth. Yep, like I said, very common pairing with Imric because he likes having healing. We got Phoenix Guard we were talking about, Silverin, and Triple Lothar. So a lot of pointy sticks. A lot of pointy sticks in a dragon. Normally this build would be pretty hard to keep your archers safe from all the infantry, but on a narrow map like Death Pass, you can actually protect them pretty easily just by hugging a cliffside, so your flank is covered. So I kind of like that here. For Khorne, we have infantry, and more infantry. Marauders, Chaos Warriors, some Minotaur Grey Opens, Valkyrie the Bloody. No Demon Shield, interesting. She does have Gaze of Khorne, though, for a little bit of a melee damage buff and some leadership. And infantry. Infantry for the infantry god. Shields for the shield throne. Yeah, just loads and loads of shielded infantry. Looking forward to more guides. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my recording software fixed so it actually doesn't cause my game to lag out. Alright, so what I don't want to see from the Khorne player here is rushing in the middle immediately and just getting shot to pieces. As Khorne, what you want to do, as the melee faction here, I think I have a video on this, but what you want to do is kind of poke your foot over here on this objective and on this objective. That way this box has to split up. This little like elite infantry corps has to split up. And then you can take the fight on, you know, one piece of the box instead of the whole thing at once. This isn't like a proper box, but you get like the tight infantry formation. So you can just take it piece by piece and tear it apart. Because if you put one infantry unit over here and more in the trees, and one infantry unit here, and then something over here, then the High Elves have to choose one to commit on. And if they commit all their forces to the center, you just run away and let them have it. And if they want to sell all their force in the center, you're happy to do that because you have two objectives. So. What do we got? White Lions. White Lions are a really good choice. They do beat Chaos Warriors, I believe. Chaos Warriors of Khorne, so they're really, really nice. But they do need the archer support to actually take care of the Minos for them. Imric's pushing up. Looks like he's just trying to take a fight with Valkyrie straight away. Without Demon Shield, Valkyrie needs to be very careful because Imric will chunk her. I mean, look at that big dragon. Imric, why are you being a coward? Why are you being a coward? Come on, go mess her up. There's nothing to support her. Yeah, Khorne has a really hard time punishing Imric. The Furies aren't going to kill him, aren't going to do much damage. The throwing axes deal fire damage, so the fire resist and the missile resist applies. They do very little damage to him. And Valkyrie also does fire damage, so very hard time dealing with Imric. In the air. If he drops on the ground, then the Minotaurs will mess him up. But while he's in the air, he's completely untouchable. And Valkyrie realizes that, so she's going to land and hang out their Minotaurs. Good catch from Crave, not to let Imric chase her, because he would have died to the Minos. Maybe not died, but he would have chunked pretty hard. Archer fire is coming in, and this is a little bit precarious. You really don't want to be just sitting here taking shots. If you're going to go in, you need to go in, otherwise just back off. And don't get shot. But it looks like Khorne is interested in the fight. Surprise, surprise, Khorne likes to fight. So also, I'd love to see Imric just try to like recharge these Marauders and break them off quick as possible. They don't have a lot of leadership, so a recharge from a terror-causing dragon could actually rout them. So yeah, come on, Imric. Land, land. There we go. That should terror out them. Perfect, they're gone. Now they've just got their backs turned, focus fire them with the archers, get them more good damage. And yeah, that's a whole infantry that never touched your front line. Beautiful. Little worried about this infantry formation. One spear Slopnir could actually chunk this infantry formation really, really heavily because it's all in a straight line. But doing a good job. Imric's getting another rear charge on these warriors. That's really good Imric usage from Crave. Just those Marauders are never going to touch your front line. Focus firing his archers, focusing on one of them at a time, chunking them really hard, and then rear charging Imric. It's perfect. Minotaurs are going to try to punish it, but now they're getting focus fired as well. Really, really good target priority from the High Elves. Fleshhounds are capping objective number 1. Marauder is capping objective number 3, so the fight's all out here in the middle right now. And the High Elves are charging in. Silvering into Marauders. Marauders will barely scratch them. Phoenix Guard are charging and trying to get the fight on top of the Minos, but no, they're pulling back formation, trying not to make the hole. Very, very heads up play from Crave. Don't want to leave a hole here, otherwise the infantry will string through. Archers getting some good damage on the Minnows. Chaos Warriors are fighting. Dragonhorn is being blown. So now the High Elf infantry actually have melee attack, which is remarkable because they never do. And a nice breath attack coming. Oh no, he's fighting Valkia. I'd love to see a breath attack right here on this blob right here, but in the meantime we got a Lord Duel. And like I said, Imric will win that very, very handily. Now, love to see a Dwellers come in. There's some blob punishment spells. Anything to really punish these massive blobs of Chaos Warriors. Nice 2-for-1 right here. Come on, Imric, give it to me. Lay it on me. Looks like he's lining up for a breath attack. Come on. Breath attack. Nope. Okay. No. There we go. Beautiful breath attack from Crave. So far, he's gotten so much value out of Imric in just such a short time. Very, very masterful control of a dragon. Archers keeping those Minotaurs at bay. Spear Slopnir coming in the Wet Lions, but they'll just be charging those Marauders, doing very, very good work. Fleshhounds come in the back, but we do have, a spear unit, but also the Fireborn to peel off those Fleshhounds. The value is going so heavily in favor of the High Elves right now. Beautiful Dwellers. Gets on the Marauders, doing good work. Imric, again, just rear charging and terror routing as quickly as possible. You just want to make sure you can terror out to make sure the enemy infantry is just fighting for as little time as possible. And the Minotaurs hadn't even been able to get into this fight, so they're just running from the archers this whole time. They are charging now to try and punish Imric, Valkia as well. Imric needs to be a little careful. He's got some skirmish cav here, he's got Fleshhounds. If Imric dies here, he get caught here and die. He needs to get back airborne. Furies coming in as well. Furies are surprisingly good against Loth and Seaguard, as they are anti-large. They have good melee defense, but the Furies will actually kill them out pretty quickly, so the Loth have a very hard time killing them. Okay, Imric does get to them silver, and he will be able to get the safety. Phoenix Guard in the middle just grinding against those Minos. Taking a lot of damage, but they should be hitting just as good as they get. Fireborn coming in as well to support those Phoenix Guard, and Fireborn with those Phoenix Guard, such a massive anti-large fuck you combo. Gotta fight. Valky's trying to snipe the caster with some Furies, but Imric is here to peel off and just clear out those Furies, doing some very, very good work. Problem is, okay, we do have some Silverin going to the side objective, which I like. You're winning the fight pretty well in the center for the High Elves, so you need to make sure you get some forces on the side objective. You don't really need to reinforce here, you're winning pretty well, so just take your reinforcements to take the sides objective, which is what you need. Valkia is killing off the caster though, and the Furies are doing a good job just buying space for Valkia to kill the caster, while Imric is just stuck killing them. He doesn't kill them very quickly with all their models, but the Khorne frontline is just gone. Value is going pretty even though. Only about 1,000 lead for the High Elves, despite appearances. Caster should rally. The Fireborn are out just chasing for kills at this point, just taking whatever they can. Forsaken coming in, but they're not going to do a whole lot against these Armored Silverin. Armored Silverin are going to be a big problem for them. And now, give me those Fireborn. Show me those Fireborn. Let me get some anti-large charges. What is happening here? Are they trying to desummon? Oh no, their Earth Lifeblood coming in. Fireborn. What are these Fireborn doing? This went half and... Where are you going? Yeah. Not the Seaguard. These Minotaurs have barely even gotten to fight in melee. It's bringing she's on out with these archers so effectively. And the value lead continues to climb in the favor of Crave and his High Elves. Now, Silverin are being set by Furies and Fleshhounds, but they'll beat the crap out of Fleshhounds. Fleshhounds are large. These are Silverin. They're anti-large. They have spear units. Furies are alright, though. Now we have Rahagra's Pride coming in. Oh, Warlion ROR. I don't actually know how these do into Fleshhounds, but I can't imagine they do that well, right? Fireborn will, though. Fireborn will absolutely dumpster them. Oh yes, I love the Fireborn so much. It's such a good unit. Such a good unit. Such a cool unit too. And give me the charge. Give me that charge. Couch them lances, baby. Right alongside Rahagra's Pride. The Furies are just destroyed on impact. Beautiful. Meanwhile, House has just solid control of the center. Khorne's not getting back on there anytime soon. They need a large force. They want to try to retake that. And also, I think Khorne just rotate over here with their whole force. Just take whatever they got and move to the side so they can just try and hold on this objective as long as they can. Because they're so far down value, they just got to try and just dig in and fight for points. Those anti-large, just tearing apart those flesh rounds. So far, it's looking like a pretty decisive lead for the High Elves, but they are still behind in objective points. They still haven't taken objective number 1, but they are starting to work on that. They got more spears coming in, more silver in. This fight in the center, I feel like this fight in the center is just so doomed. There's so many High Elves here. Like, how do you break this as Khorne? It's so hard to just run right into this High Elf position with all the spears. Even the archers have spears. They are out of ammo, though, so they have finally spent all their ammo. Which means the threat of the range is quite diminished. The Minotaurs could be able to actually get in here and get some good damage value off, but they're still Phoenix Guard. Like, how does Khorne kill the Phoenix Guard? Okay, the side cap is finally in the hands of the High Elves. Furies are coming in the back, but honestly, there's nothing the Furies disrupt. There's no arrows. They're completely out of arrows, so they're going for. Are they just going for the mage? Not a bad choice. Imric is just hunting Valkyrie. Honestly, I feel like Imric could just be on the front line again, terror routing, breath attacks. Imric's got to have so much value already. Yeah, 1500 value already. Jeez. Fireborn are just shadowing the caster so the Furies can't get him. Furies opting to fight the Pure Main Company. Not so sure about that one, but I think it's paired with the Marauders, get the recharge. Actually, yeah, they get the Pure Main Company to turn around, but now we got the Dragon Horde coming in. So these guys have 71 melee attack. The Minotaurs get a nice charge, but they're not going to last very long. And these Fireborn, oh lord, they coming. Nice breath attack on the front line again. My frame rate is dropping again. I apologize. I don't know why that's happening. And Imric is just going to get a massive terror out here. Beautiful. Again, the skirmish are throwing, but he's taking like 35% of the damage because his fire resist, his missile resist. Valkyrie lands amongst the Fireborn, trying to pin them in place, and she's not actually large, so she'll do alright in that fight. The Minotaurs can be support. They might be able to get a cast on the Fireborn, but they don't care about Valkyrie, and they turn and get a charge of their own. Beautiful. Supported by spears. They should just tear apart these Minos. Actually, no. No, they're not. Lord of Dragons has popped on the Minos. They have very little melee stats. The Fireborn is still taking a load of damage. Flesh Hunt's coming to recharge. That's a big catch for Khorne, but... Oh, Dwellers? Okay, good. Looks like Minos is going to dodge that Dwellers, mostly. Fireborn are getting torn down, but have infantry still going strong. Also, I'd like to see these Lothran desummoned. You need more arrows. You need more arrows. Just keep punishing the Skirm Cav, the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are routing mostly, and now Valkyrie is in trouble. She's on the ground, surrounded by the Pure Main Company and Imric. Sandwich. If she can't get out of here, she's in a lot of trouble, but she can push through. Surprising amount of mass for being such a small character. But if these Silver Helms actually charge, they could pin her in place and kill Valkyrie right here. Oh, Valkyrie's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, she's pinned. So by Pure Main, Silverin, she's so dead. If she gets out of this, it'll be kind of BS. Lothran and Sigurd are charging in, trying to get the skirmish cav. A little bit of mismicro, probably just ran out of ammo trying to chase them. And Valkyrie's in so much trouble. I think the High Elves have got this. Like, this just looks so good for Crave. He looks very, very well prepped in these High Elves. Looks very comfortable. Score is covering the value, is it? Is score covering the value? I can try to make those smaller afterwards. But yeah, Thorax armor effects first because of fire resist, but also missile resist, which stacks. So it's 40% fire resist plus 25% missile resist, so it's 65% throwing axe resist. So they're doing nothing to him. Actually, does it also stack with physical resist? I think it also stacks with physical resist, but I'm not entirely certain. I don't think fire attacks bypass physical resistance. Likely is terror routed, she's down very low, and Nimmer can chase her off even if she gets in the air, so she's goner. Another Dweller's coming in. Yeah, a little bit of a miss, looks like. Let's look at some nice damage on these Marauders. I can't remember, now I want to know, does the Fizz resist? I think it stacks, although Nimmer doesn't have it anymore? What was giving Fizz? Oh, Guardian. These guys have Guardian. Valkyrie dies, and with it, I think Khorne's hopes are also gone. Some Flesh Hunts coming in the back. The thing is, what are you flanking? Spears? These are spears. They're Lothran Sea Spears. So, like, there's just no targets the corn flank to even get. You gotta get just an infantry overwhelm, which is so hard to do when you just got this tiny little window to attack. I feel like if you want to assault this position, you either have to, like, pull them apart by playing the sides, or you gotta do a big flank overload through these trees and come in from 2 angles. Like, it's so hard to attack missile positions on this map. This resist will also apply? Okay, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I was like 80% missile or axe resist. So that is Crave tying it up. We have a series. So yeah, Phoenix Guard did well. We're still pretty healthy at the end. Imric, just a Chad. The Imric usage in the initial engage was so good from Crave. Just, like I said, he was focus firing the Marauders and a terror with Imric. So 2 of the Marauders never even got to melee, which is so well played by Crave. That was beautiful. And Valkyrie did alright. Minotaurs didn't actually do a whole lot. They were zoned out by the archers for so long. And I feel like in that situation, you just kind of got to commit with the Minotaurs. Like, your front line is not going to win without them. Even if they're getting shot, you just kind of got to weather the storm. They do have good armor, so they are fairly resistant to them, but still. Alright, let's get the blocker back up. So for my end, it didn't look like it was covering the value, it just looked like covering the unit counts, but if you guys want, I can make these scores a little smaller. That should be good. And we can also fix the score, because now Crave has one as well. So Black Ark is our tiebreaker, and now neither player can play Khorne. So, let's see, Khorne is off the table for both players, Hyle's off for Crave, and Norska's off for Iosis. I feel like Norska's a really strong pick here for Crave if he plays Norska. Anyway. Value is shown, but feels like a complete lie again. Yeah, value is a little buggy. Yeah. Ace match, woohoo, indeed. It was very well played at Hyles from Crave. He seemed very practiced on them. I'm still only 300 value from paying themselves off despite everything, though. Yep, Minotaurs, fam. Yep. Minotaurs are a good unit. A very good unit. Little buggy, yeah. Well, the other day, I was saying with the RTA Discord, and they were testing something. They're testing like an infantry engagement, so they had like 10 infantry on each side. And so there was like 10 infantry units on each. So there was like 20 infantry units. They all fought to the death. And afterwards, one side had like 3k value, and the other one had like 100 value, because one side's value just wasn't registering at all. Like just small amounts of any kind of small amount of non-AP damage doesn't seem to register at all. Like just marauders beating on things or swordmen or whatever, they just don't seem to register value of that, or even archers. Like just light tickling of non-armor piercing damage doesn't seem to do a whole lot for the value counter for whatever reason. It's insanely buggy. Well, it's a fake value on Imric, which got healed off. I don't think there was that much healing on Imric. He didn't take a whole lot of damage. There's a little bit of healing, but it seemed like most of the whelm was going to Dwellers. Alright, so I can't remember if the pick system is the same for the finals. I think it's a little bit different. Nope, same thing. So Crave picks 3, bans 1. And then yeah. Same thing we would do. So Crave pick 3, ban 1. S will pick his faction and ban out one of the 3. And Crave will pick one of the remaining 2. It's a match where just pause for 2-3 minutes of skirmishing and counted manual value is shown at like 5. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Also, I forgot to feed my cat 45 minutes ago. Now I hear him pounding down my door, so I will be right back. Alright, I am back. DM, which is probably information on the picks. Okay, so Crave picked Cathay, Skaven, and Ogres, ban Dwarves. Interesting. Actually, hold on, I don't think he can do that. So, more players made a bit of a mistake in picks and bans, but currently we're sitting on Wood Elf Skaven again, but they made a mistake and I let them know, so they might change things up real quick. But there's a good chance that next is going to get... Alright, didn't change anything. Alright, so we got Wood Elf Skaven. Actually, you're having a great day. We've had 3 Wood Elf games today. One Wood Elf game in every series. So we actually saw this matchup earlier. We saw it was Crave versus Trogdor. Trogdor's on Wood Elf, Crave's on Skaven. So we saw Crave's build for this already. He had triple Jezzail, one of which was the Arwar, double Gutter Runners, and then Globes and a lot of Rat Bodies. And the Jezzail seemed really, really brutal for the Wood Elves to deal with. They outtrade the Archers. They were tearing apart the Shuriken and Durthu, so I'm curious what solution Iosa has to those weapon teams, to the Jezzails. I'm also curious if he was watching earlier and perhaps knows the build. So one thing I know that used to be very popular in Warhammer 2, and I suspect is probably still very, very good in this Skaven, is Drycha. The Pit of Shades, just clear frontline as quickly as possible or delete a globe, and then just her pushing the back and dropping a Dryad summon in the back line is really, really disruptive. As well as her herself, she's very tanky and a good fighter, so Skaven have a hard time removing her, so she can just run the back line and be a disruption piece herself. Wood Elf win rate 50% actually, nice. But yeah, Drycha is a really solid choice here, I feel like. And there's Dryads in general are really good at killing Skaven because they are spread out, so they are a little bit more resilient to globes, as well as just having very good charge damage and good damage output in general, so they tear through Skaven and Clan Rise very, very quickly. So I kind of like the idea of a Wood Elf Rush with just Drycha, Dryads, maybe some Archers to back it up and poke out, Rat Ogres. We also like to see them play kind of slow on this map. It's Black Ark, so it's a very, very big map, so you can actually force Skaven to come pretty far out of the map if you just cap your point, cap the side point. I feel like capping the side point is pretty easy to do as Wood Elves, because you do have that mobility advantage. You can rotate a little bit faster than Skaven. Yeah, Skaven are somewhat quick, but you don't have calves, so... If you can cap both your point and the side point, this game would have to come pretty far forward to actually deal with that. And you can get a nice engage on them. So, we are loading in. And I was right, we do have Drycha. Crazy, it's almost like I could see the builds. I kid. So it looks like Crave didn't do a whole lot to change his build. Looks pretty similar to what we saw before. You're gonna have to rush. Skirmish is not viable against your sales. Interesting. Interesting. I wouldn't have expected Giselles to be the main problem. It used to be that mortars were the reason you couldn't skirmish super effectively with what else, because mortars would just delete your archers, but mortars have been nerfed pretty heavily in Game 3. So, like I said, the build looks pretty similar to what we saw Crave bring earlier. Chieftain, triple Giselle, 2 globes, desummon Skaven Slave Lord, and then just a lot of frontline. Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves. And 2 gutter runners. 1 with poison, 1 without. So pretty similar to what we saw before. For Ios's Wood Elves, we have Double Way Watcher, Deepwood Scout, Dryads, Eternal Guard, the Waystalker, 4 Dancers, Eternal Guard, and Drycha. Actually, it's pretty similar to what we saw him bring against High Elves. He likes this core of Way Watchers and Deepwood Scouts. Way Watchers do have excellent range and stock, so they can trade reasonably well into the Giselles, but Giselles do have Silver Shields, so it's a bit tricky because they don't take a whole ton of damage and they're spaced out very well. They're hard to hit. Drycha has Pit of Shades and her buffs. And then this guy has Arrow of Kurnos. I wonder how these guys actually do at sniping Giselle models. It'll take them a while because there's a lot of models. But they can do reasonably well. Interested in Vermin coming along? Triple Giselle, maybe a bit overkill, yeah. Gator stream. Vermins were good. Yeah, Skaven won this last time we saw. Yeah, Crave beat Trogdor's Wood Elves on Arnheim. So this is probably a bit of a better map for Wood Elves, a little more spread out, so it's a lot harder to protect those guns. So we could see a very different outcome here. Yeah, it looks like we talked about before where, actually, what Wood Elves could do here is because Skaven are deployed into low ground, they can just, you know, pop Drycha, like right here on the edge or something cheap. And see someone. Alright, so tiebreak game of the finals is underway. So yeah, just drop like a Dryad or an Eternal Guard right here on the very tip, and then the Skaven have to come out of that little box. So what people like to do with Missile Faction on this map is just play right down here. So the only way your opponent can attack you is from this narrow gap and this little opening right here. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this position. It's kind of hard to attack, but it's such a brutal slope right here. They'd be attacking you gets massive combat advantages, because just fighting uphill is a massive disadvantage in combat. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's pretty brutal. So this slope actually gives a huge advantage to the attacker here. So I kind of don't really like holding down here before. I've tried it myself. It's worked all right, but I can't get over that slope. That slope is just really brutal. Yeah, these gutter runners are actually kind of tricky. They make this formation a little bit harder to attack because they can just come and cap this point, which forces Wood Elves to actually deal with them, and while they're dealing with them, they'll be in the opening getting shot by these Giselles, so it's tricky to approach. It's really tricky to approach with Wood Elves, so I'm curious to see how Ios's plans to go about that. So Gutters pushing up. Gutters are substantially outranged, but they are stocked. We do have some shots coming in on Skaven Slaves, so not hugely impactful. These archers are still staying invisible while shooting, despite not having snipe because bugs. Because game working as intended. They are spotted now, which means the Giselles can start ripping some shots into them, which is pretty rough because those are very expensive Way Watchers. Taking loads of damage. These Gutter Runners actually do a really, really good job of killing these Way Watchers as well as the Giselles. And that's a lot of value and a lot of Way Watchers down already. Well, only actually 7 of them are dead. 10. Need to get out of here. These Gutter Runners actually prove very, very effective for Crave in this matchup both times we've seen them. They do a good job spying out the Way Watchers because they have stealth themselves, they don't get shot out. Very, very nice scouting tool. Now those Way Watchers down to only like a quarter of their HP. They have a lot of models left, maybe about a third. So they still have pretty good damage output, but they're pretty low. Now the Dryads are pushing up, but one Dryad pushing up on its own is going to have a hard time breaking that box. So if you're going to go in, you got to go in all at once. This far side, okay, the low ground needs to have rotate up the high ground. So it looks like we just have a high ground push, which I like. Like I said, this slope is really, really nice for attackers. There's not a lot of Skaven infantry here. It's all dedicated to the far side. So I like it. If we can get a push here before those Skaven can rotate, you actually get on top of these Giselles pretty quickly, but you are going so deep to do it. Town of Kurnos coming in. What are we targeting? The Giselles? Bit of a miss. Gets a couple of models. Did a little bit, not a whole lot. Yeah, there's so much Skaven infantry dedicated to the bottom side. There's not a whole lot here to protect the top, so I'd love to see this rush come in quick as possible. Keep these archers back until you can shut down those missiles. Once you have pressure on the missiles, once they're running away, then you can bring the archers and start shooting over the top and getting some good value. Looks like Wood Elves are capping this point, but they're banking a lot of funds. What is he saving up for? There's nothing on the roster that costs 3,000, so I'm curious why he's saving up when he's taking so much fire. Really, really curious to see. So the force on the field is going to have a really hard time breaking this game position. This reinforcements so far to run to actually back up this fight. It's looking really rough so far for the Wood Elves. So we got a Flensing Rune coming down on Drycha. The summon goes in, and that summon's in a really good spot to just run down those Giselles. They're a lot faster. They're getting crossfired, but they have enough bodies that they'll just be fine. Drycha King Flensing Rune is doing a lot of damage, but that's one of the Giselles shut down. That Giselle should die after those Dryads really, really quickly. They do have good damage output. Nice pit shades on the globe. Finally starting to punch back for the Wood Elves. They've already taken so many losses. The front line is already crumbling quite a bit. Dryad Summon's trying to get on both Giselles. I'd love to see them just finish off one. Although if you're going to finish off one, the Natty Boot was probably the ones that are more expensive. They're hard to pin down. You got to get those infantry units up in here. You got to have follow-up to that summon. Just that summon alone isn't going to do a whole lot. Now we do see the reinforcements coming in for both sides. Just a massive cav vanguard, as well as the Firework Elders. There's still 1,800 funds sitting in reserve. What is he waiting for? I'm not sure where he's going with this, but he needs to get in here and shut these guns down really, really quickly. Now we have more Dryads coming in, but they're so far back. They have so far to go to actually reinforce this fight, and all the while, the Giselles are just firing away. We have more and more cav coming in. We have the Wild Hunt. Oh, those are Glade Riders. I was seeing the purple from these guys. Triple Glade Riders, that could be fine. There's a lot of openings in this game information to try to slip them through. The infantry needs to get engaged. Like, they just can't get to here and getting shot. The Globe's already dealt with, mostly. So just try and get in here and try and push. There's only a Clan Rat and 2 Skaven Slaves blocking the front line. Or, sorry, 2 Clan Rats. Just push through on these Giselles. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Skirmishers are coming in, and yeah, the Glade Riders are starting to wrap around. And okay, here we go. Glade Riders are getting in. Globes should be getting shut down. Yeah, good. Okay, Glade Riders in the backfield. There's only a single rat over here to peel, so they should be doing some good damage. Archers are just, yeah, they're just sitting back. I'm not sure why. Yeah, Glade Riders are running down those Gutter Runners, getting good, shutting them down. They are right next to the reinforcement zone. The RR Rat Ogres, the Pitfire's Hellseek are coming in to help deal with those Glade Riders. Should do very, very good at that job, but the infantry needs to come at him. Come on, Ios. It's actually trading well in value, despite all of his army just sitting back here. Can't do a good job shutting down the Gutter Runners, but the Giselles are just trying to shoot him. I wonder if he's trying to wear out the ammo. Maybe just give them soft, like cheap targets, just wear out all those Giselles' ammo, but I feel like you should just overrun this position. There's so much committed down here, you could just run on these Giselles with all your infantry. Dryads are coming in, Giselles are just firing away in the Dryads, doing good work, but I mean, I guess all the while the Wood Elves are holding the objectives, and they're not super far behind in value, so maybe they can actually pull this off with all this infantry. They just keep summoning in tanky infantry units to hold this position. Now have some, what is this, Glade Guard coming up to reinforce, as well as some more Eternal Guard. I don't know, I feel like you could just overwhelm this position. I feel like you gotta just get on top of those Giselles, and the Glade Guard is actually doing a good job of that right now. Natty Bibbles are getting shut down. They're almost dead. They have very few models left, so even if they survive, they aren't much of a threat. So the Rat Ogres are coming in, the Pit Fighters. Dryads are finally pushing the fight. Yeah. So the downhill charges onto these Clan Rats, which are already going to lose the Dryads anyway, just means they die very, very quickly. War Dancers are pushing through the gaps. I love this. Find the holes, push through. Careful not to bunch up too much, although there aren't any globes to punish the bunching up too much. Need some archers to come in and start peppering those Rogers. The Firebark Elders start slipping through as they're very, very hard to remove. But yeah. This fight should go pretty good for the Wood Elves, but the Skaven are just up so much value. But I feel like a lot of that value is just tied up over here, just sitting on the objective. There's like, what? Yeah, maybe 1,500 value over here. So not the full value difference, but still quite a bit. The Globes are fighting the Firework Elders, as are the Giselles, and they're getting torn apart. Gotta get the Giselles back here, and yeah, the front lines have buckled down. The Dryads are free, and the War Dancers are free to come and tear down these weapon teams. Firework Elders are half health, but they'll still tank out there for a long time. We got Flensing Rune coming on the infantry. Not super effective against infantry, but do alright. Drycha's coming in, and they get these infantry up here to fight as well. Drycha is very, very low right now. She can only be a caster. If she walks up, she's gonna get popped by the Giselles. or hit with a Flensing Rune and just die. She needs to be very, very careful. The Fiber Colors are getting roasted by these globes, though. Dryads are coming to shut them down now. And yeah, like I said, the Skaven front line just can't hold, so even the Dryads in the back line very, very quickly is just so effective. I don't know why he waited so long. Ikit is going for the sniper on Drycha, though. The Waystalker's trying to provide some support, but Drycha's in a load of trouble here. She's got a lot of melee attack, but not a whole lot of melee defense, so she's actually in a lot of trouble against the anti-infantry chariot from the Doom Wheel. Wolf Rats are coming in, just trying to snake back objectives and trying to make up the Skaven's disadvantage in points. But the value lead is just so much with the Skaven. They're so far ahead. The War Dancers are struggling to just cut these Clan Rats. They're getting just shredded by globes. War Dancers. The Wood Elf infantry is just in tatters. They just took so many shots in the approach. I feel like they're just not going to have enough left in the tank to actually get back on these missile teams. The globes have rotated up from below. The Giselles are just firing and firing and firing on these War Dancers. War Dancers are shattering away. Just want to go to find the Rat Ogres, but they're still being shot. Dryads are chasing off some Clan Rats. And the globes just firing in behind the Rogers coming to punish. It's looking really good for Crave. He's doing a really good job keeping his backline protected, getting the Rat Ogres to plug up the holes in his front line. The Giselles are just completely free to fire. Already spent almost all their ammo, just tearing apart the Wood Elf infantry. The point lead isn't enough for the Wood Elves, I don't think. The Skaven should be able to at least take Objective 1 back, and with just Objective 1 and Objective 3, they should be able to win the game. They don't need to take 2 just yet. But they don't have a lot of bodies on the point. They do have more Skaven coming in. They have Stormburner coming in, a resummon on the Natty Boobos. There's one thing Crave's build is lacking a little bit, is just objective holding power. They've got a lot of shooting and not a lot of bodies, so they really have to just destroy their opponent's entire army to actually get on the point. But he's well on his way to doing that. Wolf Rats are doing a good job tearing apart the Glade Riders. They're very lightly armored. Wolf Rats hit really hard. And the Flensing Rune does kill off Drycha, so the leadership of Wood Elves is tanking. I don't know, man. I don't really see a way for the Wood Elves to keep these objectives much longer. The Storm Vermin are going to be hard to remove. There's not a whole lot of AP for the Wood Elves. What they do have is anti-large. It's not going to do a whole lot against these Storm Vermin. Yeah, the globes are getting shut down by the Glade Riders. The Glade Riders, the Lord Lost penalty and the damage they're taking are just gone immediately. Can't even punch through the armor of the globes in time. The Giselles have spent all their ammo and can just desummoned at this point. The Skaven are just swarming over Objective 1. Yeah, this matchup seems to be very rough for the Wood Elves. Yeah. Again, that pretty difficult. Yeah, Dryads just trying to swarm around Ikit and try and tear him down with the spears. The Ratters coming to bail him out, as well as the Storm Vermin. And Ikit's a tanky boy. He's got a lot of hit points, a lot of armor. He should be just fine. The Skaven are starting to cap this objective, and they're not even in 3-cap territory yet. They can still just hold these 2 objectives just fine. And with lots and lots of more rat bodies coming onto the field, it should be just fine to hold on for quite a while. Talon of Grass coming in. What's it going after? The Giselles that are out of ammo? It didn't even hit them. It missed. That ability seems to miss a lot. It's been doing pretty poorly all day. And yeah, the Skaven blob is mighty indeed. Especially when they globe it. When they globe their own blob. Does good work against the Shrall Guard. Also does good work against the Storm Vermin. Look careful not to kill your one elite infantry unit. But the Skaven body is just poor on the point. I don't think the Wood Elves can hold on a whole lot longer. Yeah. Storm Vermin are going to be really hard to remove as well. War Dancers are trying to get on the globes, but I don't think they need the globes at this point. I think the Skaven bodies are just too numerous. And he's still not in 3-cap territory, so the Skaven can just hold on to these 2 and be perfectly happy with their short, low rat lives. Drycha is resummoned, which I don't hate, because you do still have a lot of WOM, as well as getting a new summon, but game's a little frozen. Maybe crashed. Looks like Crave was dropped. I think we got to give that one to Crave. I don't think there was much of a hope for the Wood Elves back in the game. I'll talk to the players, but I'm definitely in. I think Crave was in a really strong position. Yeah, 20 more seconds, but not quite there. I don't even know if 3-cap would have won the game for him, honestly. There was just not a lot of elves left on the field. Skaven were in a really good spot. Yeah, the Wolf Rat play from Crave has been really good all day, just punishing his opponent's cav very, very heavily. Yeah, the Way Watchers got shut down. You seem to be right about that. Skirmishing against Skaven is quite difficult. The what is it? The these guys, the gutter runners for spotting those guys was really effective. All right, let me talk to our players real quick, and we'll see what I do. All right, looks like we just had desync, which happens from time to time from not having dedicated service. I think we just give the game to Crave. I think he had it. So I'll let the players know. All right, one moment, just chatting with the players real quick. All right, so yeah, I think Crave wins that. I don't think there's much way for the What Else to get back into that game. Skaven were pretty far ahead. They had a sizable value lead, and they didn't have to 3-cap, so... And there were just so many more Skaven bodies on the field. There wasn't a whole lot left in the tank for the What Else. Kind of a crappy way to end the tournament, but so be it. Congratulations to Crave for winning. Very, very well played from Ios and Trogdor today, as well as everyone who came out and played. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who played. And if you guys want to get involved in these tournaments in the future, they are just beginner domination tournaments, so if you've never played before, the idea is to make it as beginner friendly as possible. Just hop on and play some games. Just sign up on the tournament page. There's a link to the Discord we use in the description. And I could drop a link for the tournament. Actually, I don't have the next tournament posted yet, so I can't do that, but Discord link is in the description if you guys want to check that out. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you next time.